Chapter 1857. In theory, Su Yun would be at a disadvantage. After all, Hua Xia's martial arts were about accumulation and accumulation. No matter how talented a person was, if he or she didn't have the heart to train hard for a long time, he or she wouldn't be able to become a master. Uncle Xiang had been accumulating and accumulating for so many years. He was much more skillful than Su Yun in controlling his moves and moves. He could always resolve Su Yun's killer moves at the most appropriate time. However, Su Yun had the advantage of strength and fierceness. As mentioned before, Su Yun's mentality was different. He had a special impulse. The stronger the opponent, the stronger the desire in Su Yun's heart to defeat the opponent. When the desire was strong, Su Yun would become a person who would become stronger when facing a strong opponent. The strong desire to win made Su Yun exert more strength and speed than usual. That was why Uncle Xiang, who was slightly stronger than Su Yun in terms of moves and control, was forced to this point. Uncle Xiang had already retreated 7 or 8 steps. He never thought that he would be forced to this point by a young man. They were all leg skills. The leg skills that he was proud of couldn't take the lead. After more than 10 moves, he even began to fall into a disadvantage. What was going on? In the process of Uncle Xiang's continuous defeat, he began to have serious doubts about himself. He didn't know what he was doing. His mind was blank. Even when facing Su Yun's simplest attack, he began to take evasive measures. He didn't even have the most basic counterattack. Although Su Yun had the upper hand, he really didn't dare to be careless. After all, Uncle Xiang was able to establish himself in Southeast Asia for so many years. Su Yun wasn't sure if Uncle Xiang deliberately released a smoke bomb to make him think that Uncle Xiang was no match for him and let his guard down. All of these were possible scenarios, so Su Yun had to be careful and not let down his guard at all. Su Yun didn't give Uncle Xiang any chance to fight back. Uncle Xiang couldn't find any loopholes in Su Yun's defense. He couldn't find any loopholes in Su Yun's defense. He couldn't kill Uncle Xiang with one strike and overturn his disadvantage. The more disadvantaged Uncle Xiang was, the more anxious he was. The more anxious he was, the less he could fight against Su Yun. The two of them spent more than 20 minutes like this. Even Su Yun was starting to pant, let alone someone of Uncle Xiang's age. The sweat on Su Yun's forehead flowed down to his chin, dripping onto the ground of the Southeast Asian jungle. This was definitely the most powerful fighter he had ever encountered. Uncle Xiang's research on ancient martial arts was definitely not something an ordinary young man could do. Uncle Xiang, I didn't expect you to still have such good stamina at your age. I'm impressed. Su Yun tried his best to regulate his breathing while trying to distract Uncle Xiang, so that Uncle Xiang couldn't regulate his breathing quickly. However, Uncle Xiang didn't fall for it. He regulated his breathing methodically and soon calmed it down. I didn't expect Hua Xia to cultivate so many young and promising talents over the years. Boy, what's your name? Can you tell me? Su Yun smiled but didn't say anything. His breathing had basically stabilized. It's not a big deal to tell you, is it? Uncle Xiang saw that Su Yun didn't intend to speak, so he smiled and said, Today, no matter if it's you or me, one of us will fall. If it's me, at least let me know who defeated me. If it's you, I'll toast you every Qingming festival and burn some paper money. I've always appreciated young and promising guys like you. Ha ha ha. Su Yun also raised his head and laughed. Ha ha ha, Uncle Xiang, you're so funny. I don't like drinking, and I don't care about paper money. If you like it, I'll burn it for you every Qingming festival. So, you're very confident that you can make me lie here today? Uncle Xiang's breathing had calmed down. His eyes narrowed into a line, and his voice became much colder. Then we'll have to do something real. Su Yun's lips curled up slightly, and he was ready to fight at any time. It was said that an old fox wasn't easy to deal with, and this old fox was indeed an old fox. When Uncle Xiang fought with Su Yun just now, although he seemed to be at a disadvantage, he had been suppressing his strength. To put it bluntly, he only used less than 50% of his strength. Why? Because he wanted to see how capable this Su Yun was. However, 20 minutes had passed, and Su Yun still couldn't defeat him, who only used 50% of his strength. To Uncle Xiang, this was definitely a great confidence and encouragement. When an opponent was used to using 50% of his strength, he could catch his opponent off guard as long as he used his full strength. In a battle between masters, this kind of surprise was often fatal. The two of them attacked at the same time again. Uncle Xiang didn't hold back anymore. His terrifying explosive power was like a completely different person compared to the one just now. However, Su Yun wasn't surprised. Their fists collided, and their legs whipped into the air almost at the same time. This time, Uncle Xiang, who originally thought that he could defeat his opponent, was completely stunned. When a huge numbness spread up his leg, he realized that he wasn't the only one who didn't use his full strength just now. Su Yun also didn't use his full strength. Su Yun had already realized that Uncle Xiang didn't use his full strength just now. Since this old fox wanted to test him, then Su Yun didn't use his full strength either. He only used 10% of his strength to suppress Uncle Xiang, and fought with him for more than 20 minutes. This made Uncle Xiang completely believe that he was only at this level. That was why Uncle Xiang used his full strength to kick him. Obviously, Uncle Xiang had completely exposed his strength this time, giving Su Yun a chance to make a precise judgment. However, Su Yun also didn't feel good. The numbness spread from his leg to his entire body. He didn't expect this old fox to have such terrifying strength after he used his full strength. This old fox was harder to deal with than Su Yun thought. "Young man, you're quite interesting." Uncle Xiang endured the pain and squeezed out a smile on his face. Su Yun also laughed. He bent down and rubbed his aching leg while saying to Uncle Xiang, "I'm not the one who's interesting. You're the one who's interesting. My little bit of interest is just a small matter in front of you. You're so young, but you're already so shrewd. You're a soldier under Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi, right?" Uncle Xiang had already guessed Su Yun's identity. "If I'm not wrong, you're a member of the Dragon Brigade." In these years, although the Dragon Brigade has produced quite a few promising youngsters, there's only one who's the most arrogant. "Yen Long. The person I'm talking about is you, right?" Su Yun gave him a thumbs up. "I didn't expect Uncle Xiang to know so much about the outside world even though you've been living in seclusion deep in the mountains. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. My information is still too limited. In my impression, you bunch of little brats are just beginners. I really didn't expect. You guys actually have such terrifying strength." At this time, Uncle Xiang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This youngster was much more terrifying than when he was young. He was really too terrifying. When he was Su Yun's age, he had just broken through the bottleneck of a super expert. And now, Su Yun's strength was already on par with him, an Earth-profound realm expert. But he's still so young. He still has a long way to go. This is really too terrifying. It's really too terrifying. Uncle Xiang, let's not talk so much nonsense. We have to decide who will be the winner today. Su Yun was sure that Uncle Xiang's physical strength wasn't as good as his. Now, Uncle Xiang seemed to want to stall for time so that he could take a breather. Of course, Su Yun wouldn't give him this chance. Uncle Xiang looked at Su Yun vigilantly, as expected of a soldier trained by Wan Guangxiao. "You don't even know the most basic thing of respecting the old and loving the young. Since you've said so, I can only continue to disrespect the old." Su Yun's voice had just faded when his whole body shot out like an arrow, directly attacking Uncle Xiang's face. Chapter 1858. Uncle Xiang had already expected that Su Yun would make a move, so he reacted almost at the same time. While neutralizing Su Yun's killing move, he also sent a tricky kick towards Su Yun's waist. Su Yun didn't hesitate either. He flipped the dagger in his hand and stabbed it towards Uncle Xiang's tricky kick. Faced with Su Yun's move, Uncle Xiang had to change his move. While withdrawing his kick, his fist turned into a knife and mysteriously chopped towards the back of Su Yun's neck. Su Yun's body flipped like a loach and dodged the attack. Then, his knee fiercely hit Uncle Xiang's lower abdomen. Now, Su Yun's fierce and explosive move made Uncle Seong realize that he had to change his move. He didn't dodge Su Yun's knee, nor did he meet force with force. At his age, his bones were definitely not as hard as a young man's. Uncle Seong used Cloud Hand to neutralize Su Yun's fierce move. He also used the force to reflect Su Yun's explosive attack back at him, making Su Yun suffer the consequences of his own actions. If Su Yun hadn't reacted fast enough and retracted his force in time, he would have been seriously injured. Now, the two of them weren't just fighting with strength. They were fighting with wits and courage. Most of the time, when masters fought, the real winner didn't rely on strength, but on wits. A wiser judgment could always bring unexpected gains. After a few moves, the two of them were out of breath again. The more cautious and nervous the confrontation was, the more frightening it would be, and the greater the consumption of physical strength. Uncle Seong didn't know how long he could hold on, nor did he know how long his subordinates could hold on. Time passed second by second. Obviously, he was the one who was getting more and more nervous. Su Yun had been firmly controlling his advantage, so Uncle Seong didn't know where to start. For Uncle Seong, the current situation might really be a hopeless situation. On the other side, Lin Ge had already exhausted all of Ding Kai's stamina. He was still standing in front of Lin Ge, completely relying on his own willpower. Although Ding Kai didn't owe Uncle Seong anything, it was Uncle Seong who gave him the meaning of life and the motivation to live on. Ding Kai had once thought that he was just a walking corpse. He had no ideals, no dreams, no pursuits, and no goals in life. Uncle Seong made him understand that no matter what a person became, he had to have a goal in life. He had to pursue something and live a meaningful life. Ding Kai had rediscovered his life goal here. He wanted to support this man who had rediscovered his life goal and become the king of mercenaries. This was Ding Kai's life goal. This was the meaning of Ding Kai's life. Now, success or failure depended on this one move. If he couldn't stop these people, it meant that Uncle Seong would lose everything. This was absolutely unacceptable to Ding Kai. His mission was to protect Uncle Seong and ensure his safety. You're already like this. Do you still want to continue standing in front of me? Although Lin Ge had won the confrontation between the two, he had exhausted almost all of his stamina. This Ding Kai really wasn't easy to deal with. He was injured from the start, but he was still able to stand up again and again until now. Wasn't he simply crazy? Ding Kai's face was expressionless. His legs trembled as he stood in front of Lin Ge. Unless I die. Okay, then I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Ge's patience had reached its limit. He hadn't killed Ding Kai all this time because he valued this guy as a man. Although Lin Ge didn't like him, he had a faint feeling of sympathy for him. But now that he wanted to die, Lin Ge could only fulfill his wish. Lin Ge, who attacked again, didn't give his opponent any chance. Ding Kai was completely unable to parry or block his swift speed and tricky punches. His entire body was sent flying, and he crashed to the ground like a kite with its string cut. Everything was over. Ding Kai lay on the ground, gasping for breath. The person who had defeated him today was definitely the strongest opponent he had ever met in his life. He wholeheartedly accepted his loss. Lin Ge slowly walked in front of Ding Kai. I said before that if you put me in the water prison, I'll return everything you did to me. Ding Kai was already powerless to resist. He didn't even have the strength to speak. He closed his eyes, and the expression on his face was like a smile that wasn't a smile. No one could understand what he meant. Only Lin Ge, as his opponent, could understand that Ding Kai was already powerless to fight back. Moreover, he was completely convinced of his own strength. Lin Ge grabbed Ding Kai's collar and directly dragged him to the side of the water prison. Without another word, he threw him down. Leaving behind a sentence, he turned and left. Good luck. To be honest, facing an opponent worthy of his respect, Lin Ge really couldn't kill him. But after all, the influence of this matter was too great. The person who knew the secret had to be eliminated. Otherwise, the consequences would be endless. The consequences, losses, and damage would be unpredictable. In order to prevent the people around him from encountering any trouble for no reason in the future, to prevent them from being harmed for no reason, Lin Gu could only completely eliminate this worthy opponent. The water prison's door was heavily closed. Lin Gu kicked at the lock with the mechanism. The iron bars between the water prison and the crocodile pool slowly rose. The two crocodiles that had long been frightened by the cannon fire finally found a target to vent their anger. More importantly, these two crocodiles really hadn't eaten for a long time. If all of this hadn't happened today, the person who would be buried in the crocodile's stomach tomorrow wouldn't be Ding Kai, but Lin Gu. Up until Ding Kai's death, Lin Gu still respected him as a man. No matter how the crocodiles tore at him, Ding Kai didn't make a sound. This kind of unyielding Huaxia man, if he hadn't walked the wrong path, if he hadn't been brought to this kind of place by Uncle Xiang to do these things, Lin Gu really wouldn't have been able to kill him. Actually, all of this followed the same logic. A pitiful person must have a hateful side. In this water prison, there were no less than 10 people who were fed to the crocodiles by Ding Kai. And today he would die here. That was a well-deserved punishment. As Uncle Xiang's #1 valiant general, Ding Kai had already been crippled. The bitterly supporting Jing Chu also didn't have a spiritual pillar. Originally, when Jing Chu faced Han Zhan, he didn't have the advantage. Jing Chu was an irascible and straightforward person. Therefore, all of his martial arts were firm and fierce moves. It just so happened that Han Zhan was also a competitor known for his firm and fierce moves. The two of them were using brute force against brute force. In this aspect, Han Shehan had the absolute advantage. If Jing Chu knew some methods of using softness to overcome strength, then the one lying on the ground right now would probably be Han Zhan. But in this contest of strength and fierceness, Jing Chu completely lost. After Ding Kai was crippled, Jing Chu had already lost his last pillar of support. Han Zhan's heavy fists were like heavy bombs, ruthlessly smashing into his chest. Jing Chu fell heavily to the ground, a mouthful of pus and blood spurting out. He had already completely lost the strength to compete with Han Zhan. Is it worth it to risk your life for a guy who already escaped? Han Zhan more or less didn't understand. Jing Chu would risk his life for the sake of repaying a debt of gratitude. If it wasn't for Uncle Xiang, this life of mine would have been thrown away many years ago. I've been able to live until now because I've earned it. Today, dying for Uncle Xiang, I have no regrets. You're a real man. Han Zhan shook his head helplessly and said regretfully. After that, he threw the dagger in his hand to Jing Chu. End it yourself. Jing Chu bent down to pick up the dagger. He suddenly roared, but he didn't cut his own neck with the dagger. Instead, he staggered towards Han Zhan. Han Zhan grabbed Jing Chu's wrist and twisted it back. The dagger pierced Jing Chu's heart with a pu-chi sound. Jing Chu's whole body trembled a few times, and blood flowed out of his mouth. He wanted to say something, but was interrupted by the blood that kept coming out of his mouth. Finally, after his body violently convulsed, Jing Chu died with his eyes wide open. Han Zhan pulled the dagger out, wiped the bloodstains on his clothes, and put the dagger back into the blade. Looking at the man in front of him who died to protect his master, he really felt a little pity. In fact, these people just took the wrong path. If they didn't take the wrong path, they would definitely be unyielding men in Huaxia's army. A person's life was predetermined by the heavens, and many things were arranged by fate. Take Su Yun for example. After leaving the Dragon Brigade, if he came to this place by chance, he would probably become one of these people, right? Fortunately, Su Yun's luck was better, and he wasn't that unlucky. The person he met was Ruan Qingshuang, and not someone like Uncle Xiang. Chapter 1859. Ding Kai and Jing Chu were both disabled, and the rest of the mercenaries, who were already leaderless, had become scattered sand. Once the morale of the mercenaries was broken and they were afraid, they would become vulnerable. All the mercenaries present had their hands stained with blood. There was only war in their world, and they were prepared to throw their lives away in every battle. Therefore, they weren't afraid of death. To mercenaries, death was just an outcome. No one would feel sorry for the death of the people around them, and no one would become a coward because of their own death. All of them fought until the last moment, using their lives and blood to defend the dignity of mercenaries. When Uncle Seong's mercenary base was completely razed to the ground, the war could be considered to have truly subsided. Of course, all of this was not over yet. Before Su Yun and Uncle Seong came to a conclusion, everything was still unknown. Han Zhan turned on the terminal on his wrist to perform a positioning inquiry, and quickly determined Su Yun's position. He did not need to say anything. With a few simple gestures, all the brothers formed a formation and moved directly towards Su Yun's position. Ever since Matthew joined the Special Operations Group, the brothers of the Dragon Fury team were equipped with all the most advanced equipment. For example, the terminal on their wrists now was much more advanced than the previous equipment. Matthew added a chip to the terminal that could sense the activity of the heart pulse. The color of a person's current situation was different. For example, Han Zhan and the others could now see Su Yun's position. There was a green dot flashing, so they were not in a hurry, because this green represented the safest situation. When a companion encountered a dangerous situation, the position transmitted by the positioning point would be orange. If the position transmitted by the positioning point was red, it meant that the danger was great. Therefore, all the situation of the wearer of the terminal would be transmitted to his teammates in different colors. This was an absolute advantage for teamwork. Without this thing, Han Zhan and the others would definitely not be able to determine Su Yun's current situation and would definitely rush over in a panic. In such a short period of time, Su Yun and Uncle Seong had already run over 10 kilometers. While Han Zhan, Lin Gu, and the others were rapidly advancing, the location on Han Zhan's handheld terminal suddenly flashed frequently. Soon, the originally green display turned orange. Just as everyone was in shock, the orange dot suddenly turned red. Bright red coordinates flashed frequently on their handheld terminals. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. This meant that Su Yun was in danger. They could not continue like this. They had to speed up. Quick! Han Zhan commanded on the spot. Everyone, pick up your pace. Hurry and provide support. Close the formation and pay attention to whether there's an ambush ahead. Han Zhan's suspicion was, of course, very necessary. Because Su Yun's reaction to the crisis was too sudden, he could not help but suspect that the other party still had an ambush. The whole formation regrouped according to Han Zhan's arrangement. The two of them had to ensure that they were advancing quickly, and at the same time, they had to pay attention to the dangers in all directions. The atmosphere was very tense. Su Yun and Uncle Seong's battle had already reached a white-hot stage. Uncle Seong, who went all out, displayed a terrifying strength that was above the third level of the earth-profound realm. Su Yun, who was slightly weaker in strength, was continuously forced to retreat by Uncle Seong. Uncle Seong's madness made Su Yun think of a phrase, "A trapped beast will still fight." Any beast that was besieged would still struggle in the end. A person in a desperate situation would definitely fight with his life on the line. That was why Uncle Seong was able to regain the upper hand many times. It was because he knew very well what would happen if he lost. Su Yun was knocked down many times, but he never gave Uncle Seong a chance to escape. Because he also knew very well that once Uncle Seong left his side again, he would never have a chance to find this person again. This was his only chance, and it was also a chance that he had to seize. The secret of Guagua's identity was on this person. If he escaped, what would it mean? Su Yun knew very well. He constantly used this point to stimulate himself, so that he could barely contend with Uncle Seong, who was like a trapped beast. Su Yun's left forearm was cut, and the terminal on his wrist was also cut off and fell into the mud. Half of his arm was bleeding, and his right hand was holding the dagger in a reverse grip. In front of him, Uncle Seong was also injured. The knife wound on his right shoulder was shocking, and it was quite deep. It could be seen that the two of them had a very fierce hand-to-hand fight just now. Both of them had serious knife wounds, and both of them had different degrees of blood loss. On this point, Su Yun had the upper hand, because his left arm was injured, while Uncle Seong's right shoulder was injured. Basically, he could not lift his entire shoulder. After all, they were both Hua Xia people. Their right hand was the dominant hand. Once the right hand was injured, it was very normal for them to be at a disadvantage. The injured Uncle Xiang was very clear about his situation. He decided to end the fight quickly. Otherwise, he would definitely be the one who lost if the fight continued. Relying on his familiarity with this area, Uncle Xiang randomly grabbed a plant from somewhere, quickly stuffed it into his mouth, chewed it, and spat it out on his palm. He then applied it to the wound on his right shoulder. Su Yun also knew that there were some plants in the jungle that could be used to stop bleeding and even relieve pain. However, in the dark, facing an opponent who was staring at him covetously, Su Yun really did not have the chance to look for it carefully. He was not as familiar with this place as Uncle Xiang, and he would know if there were any hemostatic grass at a glance. After quickly stopping the bleeding, Uncle Xiang did not give Su Yun any chance to breathe. He grabbed at Su Yun's face. Although Su Yun's left arm was injured, he did not hesitate. He gritted his teeth and raised his left arm to block, while his right fist was aimed at Uncle Xiang's heart. Almost at the same time, both of them were hit. Uncle Xiang felt a tightness in his chest and quickly retreated a dozen steps. Even so, he could not resist Su Yun's punch. The huge tightness in his chest made him unable to stand, and he knelt heavily on the ground with one knee. In order to take advantage of this punch, Su Yun, of course, paid a lot. His already injured left arm was hit by Uncle Xiang's punch, and the wound was obviously torn again. Unfortunately, he came here in a hurry this time and did not bring enough emergency medicine. Now he could only force the wound and endure the severe pain. Uncle Xiang's momentum was really gone. When he could not resist Su Yun's attack, he had already lost. Every time Su Yun landed an effective hit on Uncle Xiang, he would cause great damage to him. Although Uncle Xiang also had the protection of earth-killing energy, the fist force of an earth-profound realm expert was not as simple as just containing a little bit of chi. The pressure contained in the fist force could definitely cause internal damage to the opponent. Obviously, Uncle Xiang had already suffered a serious internal injury, and he was almost completely powerless to fight against Su Yun. When Uncle Xiang tried to stand up, he finally could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Su Yun knew that his palms and fists just now had been effective. It did not mean that Su Yun's strength was enough to destroy Uncle Xiang's earth-killing energy protection, but it was because Su Yun had used an extreme method. Every time he had a 100% chance of injuring Uncle Xiang, Su Yun would release the demonic qi that was surging in his heart. Just releasing it for a moment, in that moment, Su Yun's strength would often experience a qualitative change. It was because Su Yun had the experience of suppressing his inner demon that he became bold and reckless. It was true that his behavior was truly audacious. Although Su Yun was very clear that his actions were the same as when Zhao's in the past, releasing his inner demon for power, he had no other choice now. Su Yun was confident that he could control it to a certain extent, and would not let the demonic qi that was suddenly released become uncontrollable. As long as he could control it, everything would be fine. Huff, huff, huff. Uncle Xiang panted heavily. He did not believe that Su Yun had the strength to hit him, but now this was the truth, a truth that he could not avoid. He had lost, he had really lost, he had lost completely. Even if he persevered, he would not have the ability to change the situation. Chapter 1860. You still haven't told me your name, Uncle Xiang smiled and said to Su Yun, "You are indeed Wan Guangxiao's man." Su Yun could tell from Uncle Xiang's expression and actions that he was ready to give up. At this point, it was no big deal for him to tell the other party who he was. After all, no matter who it was, when they died, they would want to die with a clear understanding. "My name is Su Yun, Flame Dragon of the Dragon's Fury Special Forces. Even if you become a ghost, you can come and take revenge on me at any time." Uncle Xiang raised his head and laughed. "If there are ghosts in this world, you wouldn't say that. We are all atheists, so you dare. Whether there are ghosts or not, you will know better than me later." Su Yun said indifferently, "Actually, sometimes, if a person's goals are lower and not so ambitious, they won't encounter problems that they can't handle or control." Uncle Xiang raised his head and slowly took out a pack of cigarettes from his jacket pocket. After taking one out and lighting it up, he threw the cigarette and lighter in front of Su Yun. Have one. You know very well what kind of situation I am in now. You don't mind having a smoke with me? Uncle Xiang, if you still have other thoughts, I advise you not to. Su Yun looked at Uncle Xiang's cigarette and said indifferently, I will wait for you to finish this cigarette. Then I will send you on your way. Yen Long. Su Yun. Uncle Xiang took a deep puff of smoke and turned to look at Su Yun. I really didn't expect that I, Xiong Dong, would still fall into the hands of someone trained by Wan Guangxiao, even though my life had been smooth sailing. At this point, Uncle Xiang paused. He seemed to have thought of something. His brows were tightly knitted together as he kept sizing up Su Yun. Suddenly, he raised his voice and asked, How old are you this year? 26. Su Yun had nothing to hide. He was not a movie star who was afraid that others would know that he was 48. Uncle Xiang's conflicted expression suddenly relaxed. I see. I see. Su Yun, Su Yun. Ha ha ha, Su Yun, you are Su Yun? Su Yun. All of a sudden, Uncle Xiang seemed to have turned into a madman. He laughed so exaggeratedly and kept muttering Su Yun's name. Su Yun was really confused. Even though Uncle Xiang looked like a madman, Su Yun remained calm. Who knew if Uncle Xiang was acting now? Su Yun didn't want to wait any longer. Now that I know you're his son, I can die without regrets. Uncle Xiang suddenly stopped laughing, and the words that came out of his mouth completely stunned Su Yun. Su Yun was stunned. He looked at Uncle Xiang blankly and asked, What do you mean? Su Yun, 26 years old. Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi trained in the Dragon Fury team. Aren't you Su Chen's son? Uncle Xiang asked. Su Yun's mind went blank. How did Uncle Xiang know so much? How did you know? What is your relationship with him? Do you know each other? Su Yun was like a movie with 100,000 whys. There were too many questions he wanted to know. He wanted to know everything that Uncle Xiang knew. Uncle Xiang smiled faintly. For a dying man like me, it doesn't matter whether I answer or not. Su Yun, to be able to die in your hands, I don't feel embarrassed at all. Ha ha ha, if I really have the chance to become a ghost, I will definitely find you. Tell me everything. Su Yun was too eager to know the truth. However, at this moment, Uncle Xiang took advantage of Su Yun's carelessness to stab the dagger in his hand into his own heart. Uncle Xiang's eyes were wide open, and he didn't make a sound. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose, and he left this world without moving. Su Yun was stunned. He frantically rushed to Uncle Xiang's side, but it was all too late. The sharp dagger had already pierced through his muscles and heart. Even if an immortal came, he would not be able to save him. Everything happened too suddenly. Su Yun never thought that Uncle Xiang would choose to end his life in such a way. Usually, an ambitious person would never choose to commit suicide, because they wouldn't be willing to let themselves leave this world. Why? Why was this happening? Why did Uncle Xiang choose to give up at the last moment? Was it just because he knew Su Yun's background? But he chose to die without saying anything. What was his relationship with Su Chen? What was his relationship with Wan Guangxiao? All of this made Su Yun feel very confused. He felt like he was trapped in an unknown deep valley, and everything around him was confusing. Su Yun wanted to know too many things, but what he got was pitifully little. Uncle Xiang's words before his death almost made his brain explode. How did Uncle Xiang know about his background? This was something that very, very few people knew about. How did he know? Looking at Uncle Xiang's bleeding chest, Su Yun was silent for a long time. He lowered his head and picked up the pack of cigarettes on the ground. He took out one, lit it, and took a deep puff. He choked and coughed many times before he stopped. Su Yun took a deep breath. If he could stop Uncle Xiang in time and prevent him from committing suicide, perhaps he would know all the answers he wanted to know now. Since Uncle Xiang knew about his background and his father, maybe he knew where the prison was. All of this made Su Yun very upset. He really regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Why didn't he think that Uncle Xiang would choose to commit suicide? The interruption of the message made Su Yun feel very depressed. If Uncle Xiang hadn't said so many things, he really wouldn't have felt anything. But now it was different. Now he knew that a dead person knew too many things that he didn't know. This was the most unacceptable thing. Su Yun smoked the cigarette in his hand fiercely and looked down at Uncle Xiang, who had completely left this world. Was he afraid that he would ask him these questions? What was there to be afraid of when a dying person was going to die? No, right? Su Yun, who was upset and depressed, waved his fist fiercely and hit a big tree heavily. Su Yun's fist print was clearly left on the tree trunk. The peeling bark was so dazzling. Su Yun leaned heavily on the tree trunk and his body slowly slid down. He really felt that he had no strength at all. Especially his legs, which were so heavy that he couldn't even lift them up. It was as if they were filled with mercury. In the quiet night, a fierce battle started quietly and ended quietly. Everything was so sudden. This night was destined to be a sleepless night for all the mercenary groups in Southeast Asia. Everyone was speculating about what might happen. Everyone was worried about whether they would become cannon fodder today. Death was not terrible. What was terrible was the illusion of death. Su Yun took out another cigarette and lit it. He let himself get lost in the smoke, as if this could relieve and relax his aching head. Nicotine could make people confused, make people's heads empty, and make people's thoughts hazy and fuzzy. Now that everything was over, Su Yun should really let his tired body get some rest. In the darkness, the flame on the cigarette became brighter and brighter with each deep breath Su Yun took. Chapter 1861. Han Zhan led his brothers and rushed to Su Yun's location, panting. Everything in front of them made them feel incredulous. Although their handheld terminals showed that Su Yun was in a red high-risk state, in fact, Su Yun was just sitting quietly beside a big tree, smoking the cigarette in his hand. Just at Su Yun's feet, 4 or 5 cigarette butts were thrown to the side. Opposite Su Yun was Uncle Xiang, who had committed suicide. His hand was still on the hilt of the knife in his chest, and his eyes were still open. He looked at the dark night sky with empty eyes, as if his soul had not gone far, and he wanted to see his soul completely disappear into the sky. Hiss. Huff. Su Yun fiercely smoked the cigarette in his hand. It was as if this was the only thing that could control his wild thoughts. "Brother, what's going on?" Lin Gu walked forward and asked. From the looks of it, although the two had gone through a very difficult struggle, Uncle Xiang had died of suicide in the end. Even Su Yun could not understand this, let alone the others. He gave up on himself just like that? Su Yun did not speak, but just nodded. He looked at his brothers, and none of them were missing. Although they had all suffered different degrees of minor injuries, it did not matter. As long as they were all alive, that was enough. As long as no one died, that was Su Yun's bottom line. "Boss, are you thinking about something?" Chen Feng realized that something was wrong with Su Yun. "Did this old fox say something to you before he died? Let me tell you, this is probably a psychological stab. This is a very popular method now. Losers like to use this method on winners. This is a psychological stab. Don't be stimulated by the old fox's words before he died." Su Yun stood up, threw the cigarette butt under his feet, and stomped it out. "Let's go. Boss, you don't seem to be in the right state." Han Zhan could also see that something was wrong with Su Yun. Chen Feng is right. Nowadays, there are losers who like to use this kind of method. If he says anything, don't take it to heart. Su Yun waved his hand. "He didn't say anything. I'm just too tired." "Brothers, you've worked hard in this battle. Let's go back earlier so that we can rest earlier." "Brother, we're all exhausted now. Otherwise, let's just make do and spend the night here." Lin Gu said, "It's not like we're short on time. It won't be too late to leave tomorrow. We'll take turns to be on duty tonight. You should have a good rest tonight." "Yeah, I think so too." Chen Feng said, "How about this, you guys rest first, I'll be on night duty. If I get sleepy later, I'll let the pigeon take my place. Su Yun shook his head resolutely, rejecting the suggestion. We have to leave this area tonight. If we leave tomorrow, I don't know how many people we'll be surrounded by in this area. We don't know how many mercenary groups there are in Southeast Asia. Yeah. Boss is right. Han Zhan nodded. What's important is that we've run out of ammunition and food. Once we encounter a large-scale armed conflict, we can only take a beating. We won't be able to fight back at all. If only Uncle Xiong's armory hadn't exploded. At least, they could have replenished some weapons and ammunition. However, this was all in hindsight. If the armory hadn't been destroyed, they probably wouldn't have finished the battle. They might even be taking a beating. Then let's go now. It's much safer near the border. Hua Xiaolu said. Generally, no mercenary group will go there. They all know that our Huaxia's territory is not so easily invaded. Su Yun nodded. This was considered an order. He took the lead and led his brothers back to the border. When Xiao walked at the back of the group, he turned back to look at this piece of land. The few years he had spent here had really been wasted. If he could choose to be reborn, Wen Xiao would definitely not choose to leave his best years in this land. Unfortunately, life wasn't a novel. No one had the chance to be reborn. Even if it was really like in the cartoon, if there was a time chicken, it would only mess up time and space. Let's go. There's nothing to miss here. Gong Sun Lang smiled and patted Wen Zhao's shoulder. Brother, you don't belong here. Even if you live here for decades, your heart doesn't belong here. These words sounded warm. Wan Xiao knew that after this battle, at least these brothers around him had accepted him again. Hubby is right. This godforsaken place is for losers to hide. Those who have the courage to take responsibility will never fall to this level. Hua Xiaolu also affirmed. Let's go back and sort out your wrong thoughts. A prodigal son turning over a new leaf is more precious than gold. The way you two address each other is a bit ambiguous. Aren't you full of passion, hubby? Hua Xiaolu's address to Gong Sun Lang relaxed the whole atmosphere. If I call him father-in-law, he definitely won't be happy. Hua Xiaolu laughed. Gong Sun Lang glared at him. You're the father-in-law. Believe it or not, I'll cripple you right now. Hey, we're abroad. Don't be so gay, okay? Qian Feng coughed and said, if outsiders see this, it will ruin our tall and mighty image. If there's any problem, we can solve it at home. Let's not be so crazy here. While talking and laughing, the group quickly left Uncle Xiong's territory. This central point was bound to be surrounded by many people who came to watch the show tomorrow. Leaving in advance was definitely the best decision. Although the atmosphere along the way was very good, Han Zhan could still clearly feel that Su Yun's mood was not right. He didn't have the excitement and joy of victory. Instead, he was disappointed and blamed himself. Although Han Zhan really wanted to help Su Yun solve this problem, he couldn't say it because he didn't know how to say it. He also didn't know what the problem was, so he really wanted to help but couldn't. Han Zhan, how are the brothers recently? Are they all good? Su Yun suddenly changed the topic. Han Zhan suddenly became spirited. They're all good. I just hope that you can go back and visit more often in the future. The two chatted, and finally, Su Yun's attention was diverted. After a long night of running, when the sky was slightly bright, they finally arrived at the border. As long as they crossed the border, everything would be over. As the sun rose in the east, Su Yun and the others finally dragged their tired bodies back to the land of Huaxia. On the way back, Han Zhan also got in touch with the people of the border police force. As soon as they came back, the border police force arranged a car to pick them up. After the group returned to the arranged guest house, they ate a big meal and then fell asleep in their rooms. They slept for a whole day and didn't open their sleepy eyes until the evening. Su Yun and the others expressed their gratitude to the border police force. They were about to leave and return to Yanjing. The leaders of the border police force also knew that they had a special identity and couldn't stay for long. After eating dinner together in the evening, they quickly booked tickets and arranged a car to send them to the airport. Of course, Lin Gu didn't go with them. After dinner, he drove away from the border area and rushed back to Qingdao to report the good news. Chapter 1862. After returning to Beijing, Su Yun was still troubled by a question. He had wanted to ask Wan Guangxiao many times. How did Uncle Xiang know about his father? How did he know about his identity? Even after knowing his age, Uncle Xiang confirmed his identity. With so many doubts, Su Yun didn't ask in the end. He knew too well that Wan Guangxiao wouldn't say anything about his father. Not to mention that he couldn't ask, even if Zhuo Langyue was in front of him, she couldn't force him to say anything. Are you going to leave again? After seeing Su Yun, Wan Guangxiao smiled and said, About Dong Xiang, I believe you must have a lot of doubts. I also know that you won't ask me anything. But, I want to talk to you more or less about this matter. Su Yun was a little surprised. This was the first time that Wan Guangxiao took the initiative to mention something that he didn't think should be talked about. Commander, although I'm very curious about this matter, I don't mind not knowing anything if it goes against my principles. Because you already know that Dong Xiang is a person who escaped from Hua Xia's army. Wan Guangxiao said, You also know the reason why he escaped. Because he secretly escaped from the investigation team and ran to our Dragon God Special Operations Group? Although Su Yun said that he didn't mind not knowing anything, he still couldn't help but ask the doubts in his heart out of curiosity. Did our team refuse him? Of course we didn't reject him. Wan Guangxiao said, In fact, we planned to recruit him after he finished his service. He was very likely to become another top-notch captain of the Dragon Brigade. Unfortunately, he didn't wait for that time. The one who ruined him was himself. He didn't even have a little determination. We can only say that we are very disappointed in him. As Wan Guangxiao spoke, he coughed a few times and raised his head to look at Su Yun. Do you know why he had to choose our Dragon Brigade? Wan Guangxiao threw the question to Su Yun, his gaze fixed on Su Yun. Su Yun thought for a long time and finally shook his head. I don't know. Because of your father. Wan Guangxiao said lightly, East Xiang and your father were both from the same investigation team. The two of them were sworn enemies when they were in the reconnaissance team. They were competitive and would do anything for the sake of victory and first place. Of course, this is the most basic requirement to join the Dragon Brigade. And then, Su Yun knew that what happened next was the main point. He and my father. Only your father was selected for the Dragon Brigade. Wan Guangxiao said coolly, They are different from me. I was groomed by the country since I was young. After I came back, I became the cornerstone of the Dragon Brigade. Before that, there was no special operations group. Thus, they could only compete within their own investigation teams. With the special operations group, things were different. They hoped to be able to display their strength in front of more people. Su Yun sat quietly before Wan Guangxiao, quietly listening to his story. Unfortunately, back then, the Dragon Brigade was not as strong as it is now. Thus, we could only choose a small number of people. Wan Guangxiao's voice was a little hoarse. We can only choose the most outstanding one among the various reconnaissance teams and Dalian teams in the country. There is only one person for each team. Su Yun was slightly surprised. Yes, only one. Wan Guangxiao shook his head helplessly. That is the country's strength. The country only has this strength. Thus, we could only let a portion of the soldiers become the country's special forces. Then, we could slowly develop, because back then, our country's strength was there for all to see. Su Yun nodded his head. He could understand. It was just like what Comrade Deng Xiaoping had said when developing the economy. Let a portion of the people get rich first. The logic was the same. There was nothing wrong with that. They needed to let a portion of the people get better first. Only then would they be able to bring about the entire situation. However, a large reconnaissance team and company have their own strengths and weaknesses. Not all of the top people in the army are selected to be the best in the country. Wan Guangxiao smiled faintly. The investigation team that your father and Xiongdong were in had many talented people. Those who were in the top 10 during the training were all among the top 5 in the country. That was their investigation team. Speaking up to this point, Wan Guangxiao felt quite bad. Back then, the situation did not allow for it. Thus, the country lost a lot of talents. However, rules were rules. Some things could not be changed by one person. Do you know your master, Wang Yi? Wan Guangxiao said. At that time, the company he was in was probably the least competitive. After he came to the Dragon Brigade, all of his training results were at the bottom. This lasted for more than 2 years. Only then did he catch up with everyone bit by bit through his own efforts. Although Su Yun did not know about this, he knew very well how serious and hard-working his master was. Thus, he was not surprised at all when Wan Guangxiao said this. He knew very well what kind of person Wang Yi was. Because of this, many people felt unbalanced. Especially Xiongdong. Wan Guangxiao took a deep breath. Of course, I can understand his thinking. In the investigation team, he was second only to one person and above tens of thousands of people in all subjects. He scored full marks in shooting and had no limits. He was on the same level as the man he had been chasing his whole life. But, sigh. The heavy sigh expressed the unwillingness in Wan Guangxiao's heart. However, there was nothing he could do. Because he was unable to become number 1, he was unable to be selected into the Divine Dragon Special Operations Group? Su Yun said calmly. It seems that there are too many unfairness in this world. But it is because there are so many unfairness that this world is so fair. Yes. Wan Guangxiao let out a long sigh. Because of this, he was unable to be selected into the Dragon Brigade. Because of this, he was mercilessly rejected. And then he felt unbalanced. Su Yun was stunned. Wan Guangxiao nodded. Perhaps at that time, he had the impulse to prove to everyone that he was the best. He wanted to prove that he had the ability to become the first batch of members of the Divine Dragon Special Operations Group. And then he did something irrational. Truth be told, when he was locked up, you also felt that it was a pity, Su Yun asked. Of course I felt that it was a pity, a great pity. Wan Guangxiao nodded his head. Perhaps you are unable to understand how important a talent was to our country back then. Truth be told, what Dong Xiang did not know was that after he was locked up, I had been constantly thinking of ways to get him out. If not for the fact that his personality was too troublesome in prison, I would have gotten him out long ago. Su Yun was silent. Clearly, this was something that made Wan Guangxiao feel very uncomfortable. What was even more unfortunate was, if he had been able to hold on for another 4 days, as long as he had held on for another 4 days without breaking out of prison, the approval for his early release would have been issued. After saying that, Wan Guangxiao appeared to have aged many years. Because of that approval, sometimes, the efficiency of the higher-ups can really change a person's life. Su Yun did not speak again. He knew how much Wan Guangxiao felt regretful in his heart. Because of the approval document for his escape, the higher-ups scolded me for being blind and saying that such a prisoner was a talent. Wan Guangxiao laughed bitterly. He did not care about these things. What he cared about was losing such a talent. Then, the entire country started to put Dong Xiang on the wanted list, but in the end, he still managed to escape. What a pity! Su Yun wanted to comfort Wan Guangxiao, but he did not know what to say. Forget it. This is all in the past. Perhaps Dong Xiang's fate was supposed to be like this. Wan Guangxiao shook his head. It's not a big deal. There are too many coincidences in the world. It's very normal. There's nothing to pity. Su Yun did not reply. He nodded and said, Sir, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. You've been busy the whole day. Rest early. You're going back now? Wan Guangxiao was slightly startled. You should at least go and say goodbye to Yu Maren. Ever since she was sent back and found out that you went to the border, she has been worried about you every day. You should go and see her. What do you think? There's also that little demon Guagua. She misses you every day. It won't be too late to say goodbye to them. Yes. Su Yun stood up and saluted. Chapter 1863. Although Wan Guangxiao had already asked him to leave, Su Yun had no intention of leaving. After the ceremony, Su Yun stood straight in front of Wan Guangxiao. He stared at Wan Guangxiao so intently that Wan Guangxiao felt his hair stand on end. Wan Guangxiao felt helpless. This guy is still here. He worries too much. Why aren't you leaving? Time is life, time is money, time is the past that will never come back. Wan Guangxiao smiled bitterly. Don't waste your time on me. Go do what you need to do. Sir, you know why I'm staying. Su Yun said calmly. If you don't give me a clear answer, I will definitely not leave. Wan Guangxiao was stunned. If you choose to stay, then no problem. I'll get someone to arrange a room for you immediately. Welcome back to the army. Tomorrow, the Dragon Fury team's training mission will be handed over to you. I'll give you 2 hours of rest at night so you can drink with your brothers. Is that enough? Su Yun scratched the back of his head. You know what I mean. Stop beating around the bush. When Wen Xiao appeared with them at the Dragon Brigade, he was immediately restrained by his hands. He was still being held in an absolutely safe room. Su Yun and Wen Xiao both knew about this, so they gladly accepted it. However, Su Yun had already finished his mission report at Wan Guangxiao's place. He had not heard any movement from Wen Xiao. Of course, he was a little anxious. I've been working on your report all this time. I haven't had time to hold a meeting on how to deal with Wen Xiao. The longer you stay here, the less time you have to get the news. Do you still need me to explain such a simple principle to you? Wan Guangxiao looked at Su Yun. Su Yun also knew that he was a little anxious. This time in Southeast Asia, if it wasn't for Wen Zhao's cooperation and assistance, we wouldn't have been able to complete the mission so smoothly. Captain, you must consider this matter carefully. I believe that Wen Xiao has really turned over a new leaf. Give him a chance. Don't worry. I will definitely give him a chance. Wan Guangxiao said. But he has to bear the consequences of his mistakes. Don't worry. I also cherish my soldiers. Just like you, I see each and every one of them as my treasures. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. Su Yun stood at attention and said, with your words, I feel much more at ease. If he should be punished, please punish him. And become the strongest warrior in our Dragon Brigade. I believe that he will give his all for the benefit of his country and the people. Wan Guangxiao chuckled. You don't need to say these words. When the time comes, he will say them himself. All right, go. I won't keep you. After meeting you, Marin, go back to wherever you want. You don't need to come and greet me. I'll leave when you confirm Wen Zhao's punishment. Su Yun grinned. Don't worry. You little brat. Even the captain doesn't feel at ease. Wan Guangxiao pretended to be angry and put on a straight face. Fine, fine, fine. Do as you wish. You can stay for as long as you want. But remember this. You can choose not to participate in the training today. But if you want to stay in the army tomorrow, you have to follow the army's rules. Do you understand? Yes. Su Yun promised and ran out of Wan Guangxiao's office. If Wen Zhao's punishment wasn't confirmed by tomorrow, he was willing to participate in the training with his brothers. At this time, Guagua and a few other gifted children had been taken to independent training. Wan Guangxiao didn't know about this. He was only responsible for arranging the best instructors and nutritionists for the young Special Forces young pioneers. Other things didn't really belong to him. After all, there were too many things for him to handle. When Su Yun went to find Guagua, he was informed by the person in charge of the Special Forces young pioneers that it would take at least 3 days to see Guagua. If he wanted to see her now, he had to get the signature of the main force. Su Yun thought about it and gave up. He didn't need to go to the main force for such a small matter. Besides, He didn't want to disturb and affect the independent training Guagua and her friends were participating in. Fortunately, Yu Meiren wasn't busy at this time. Although she still needed to be in the medical department, except for a routine meeting today, Yu Meiren had been quite idle. Of course, she knew that Su Yun and the others had returned triumphantly. Now the others had rejoined the training. Su Yun was still talking to the chief. What she needed to do was to wait quietly. After Su Yun finished talking with the main force, he would definitely come to see her. Yu Meiren's expectation didn't disappoint her. Su Yun really came to see her after he finished. The leader of the medical department generously waved his hand and gave Yu Meiren a day off. After all, the medical department wasn't as strict as the soldiers in the army. Training couldn't be stopped every day. The people in the medical department couldn't ask for leave casually except for special research and when there was a seriously injured person undergoing emergency treatment. On normal days, the leader of the medical department was quite good to everyone. If there was any special situation, he would do his best to support them with leave. Although Yu Meiren's visit wasn't considered a family visit, it wasn't a special situation. But everyone knew about her relationship with Su Yun. The leader of the medical department also thought highly of this golden boy and jade girl in the Dragon Brigade. So, of course, he wouldn't be stingy when it came to Yu Meiren's leave. Just come back before lights out at night. The leader of the medical department said to Yu Meiren, as long as you're in the army, even if you want to stay overnight with Su Yun, I can't do anything about it. But you can't stay out all night. This is a matter of principle. Yu Meiren blushed. She didn't know how to respond to the leader's joke. She could only nod shyly and wanted to hide behind Su Yun. Su Yun, the beauty of our medical department is in your care. You have to shoulder this responsibility. The leader of the medical department smiled at Su Yun. Su Yun grinned and laughed. Don't worry, leader. If Beauty Yu loses a single strand of hair, I'll bring my head to you. I'll definitely protect her. Don't worry. If you're worried, how can I leave her to you? The leader of the medical department smiled knowingly. Then I'll really take her away. Su Yun glanced at Yu Meiren. Yu Meiren frowned and said, all right, don't talk so much nonsense. Hurry up and leave. If you guys continue to joke with me, I'm going to get angry. I can't wait anymore. Hurry up and take her away. The leader of the medical department waved his hand, indicating that the two of them could go out and have fun. It was almost 11:30 in the afternoon. After Su Yun and Yu Meiren left the medical department, Su Yun brought Yu Meiren to the parking lot without thinking. He just remembered that Yu Meiren's birthday was at the beginning of next month. However, he might not have time to come to Beijing at that time, so he decided to celebrate her birthday with her in advance. Where are we going? Why are you at the parking lot? It's almost lunchtime. Let's go to the cafeteria first. Yu Meiren said. The leader has already approved your leave. We can go out and have fun. Why are we still eating at the cafeteria? What do you want to eat? I'll take you there. Su Yun said heartily, let's not eat at the platoon today. We're going to have a big meal. Yu Meiren didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she looked at Su Yun. This guy. Sigh. Actually, the food in the platoon was quite good. It was very nutritious. Although it didn't taste as good as the food cooked by the top chefs in five-star hotels, it was definitely much better than the food in ordinary home-cooked restaurants. Most importantly, they couldn't eat gutter oil in the platoon, nor could they eat those messy things with chemical additives. It was definitely healthy food. Compared to the food outside, she believed that many people would treat the food in the special forces as a big meal, right? I don't know. Since I was young, I haven't eaten much outside food. Yu Meiren smiled. However, when I went there with Guagua a while ago, I really ate a lot of good food. Seafood barbecue, beer skewers. Su Yun's eyes widened. He didn't remember bringing Yu Meiren to eat these things? Yu Meiren didn't finish her sentence. I didn't eat any of those things. They looked quite good. I wonder if Yan Jing has these? Su Yun clapped his hands. So, she wanted to eat these. Yes, of course. It's just that these things will only be available at night. Let's eat something else for lunch first. At night, I'll bring you to the most authentic place in Yenjing to have skewers. How about it? Okay. Yu Meiren was a little excited. Chapter 1864. Su Yun drove off with Yu Meiren. The two brothers from the Dragon's Might team on duty at the entrance of the Dragon Brigade looked at them. Sigh, what were they going to do when they were labeled as single dogs? These two people's behavior was simply a fancy way of abusing single people. They couldn't play like this. They could only salute and watch the two of them go out to have fun. Dragon's Fury's brother Yun is really lucky. The two guys on duty couldn't help but whisper to each other. They were so envious that their hearts itched. That's because he's capable. If you're capable, you can also be an instructor or a captain. You can also be the center of attention of the beauties in the medical department. The other said, "All right, stop being envious. Stand guard properly. In the future, you might have a chance to find a girl who sincerely likes you and marry her. Beauty you, stop thinking about it. You'll never be able to think about it." Do you think I'm crazy? Would I dare to think about Beauty you? She's instructor Yen Long's woman. I can't even think about it. If those guys from the Dragon Fury team find out, they'll eat me alive. Speaking up to this point, this guy couldn't help but shudder. Don't talk nonsense. I really don't have any thoughts. I'm just thinking, can we still find a good girl to be our wife in the future? Why can't we find one? We're also handsome young men. Our shoulders are reliable and our chests are broad enough. Standing beside us gives us a sense of security. Why wouldn't the girls like us? What man was saying made sense. What man was more secure than the brothers from the Dragon Brigade? Girls nowadays don't have the same mindset as before. Girls nowadays let go and have fun for a few years. When they're tired of it, they'll find someone to marry and live their life with. The brothers from the Dragon's Might team were right to be worried. That was how society was now. Unmarried girls in bars and nightclubs were especially high. They weren't married and didn't have any responsibilities. Why couldn't they have fun? Of course, there were also some women who were married and even had children who were still so high. This was indeed more or less a case of water in their brains. To pursue such a free life, one must have a celibate attitude. Otherwise, one should not harm others as early as possible. Do you think that down-to-earth people like us are at a disadvantage? Are you afraid of becoming a father? Don't say it like you're not afraid. All right, stand guard properly. Don't think about it anymore. It'll only make you cry. Su Yun drove with Yu Meiren on the spacious highway in Beijing. Yu Meiren was a girl who was usually afraid of the sun, but today, she was enjoying the sunshine very much. The heavens also gave them face. Today, the sky was clear and boundless, and there was not a single scent of smog to be seen. Su Yun rolled down all the windows. Although the sound of the wind was ear-piercing, it made him feel an indescribable sense of comfort. It was already autumn, but Beijing wasn't cold at all. The cool autumn weather made Beijing seem like a small stove. As there were more and more cars on the road, Su Yun and the others were getting closer and closer to Beijing. Yu Meiren's hair was slightly messy from the wind. She turned her head to look at Su Yun. "Where are you taking me at noon?" "Let's go to the best cake shop in Beijing to buy you a birthday cake." Su Yun remembered that there was a cake shop in San Juan. It was very famous. He couldn't remember the name, but he could roughly figure out the general location. Yu Meiren was startled. She really didn't remember her birthday, but she remembered it after Su Yun reminded her. But it wasn't her birthday today. "I don't know if I have time next month." Su Yun explained, "I know, no expensive gift can compare to the time I can spend with you for a day. So I'm going to celebrate your birthday in advance." After a pause, Su Yun said, "If you don't mind." Yu Meiren certainly didn't mind. She was really touched. Su Yun was distracted by too many things. Under such circumstances, he could still remember her birthday. This really made her feel flattered. Whether or not it was Yu Marin's birthday today, it was enough that Su Yun could remember her birthday. Su Yun, thank you. Yu Marin was a little shy. Thank you for doing this for me. I haven't done anything yet. Su Yun was embarrassed. Let's go. Let's go buy a cake first. I'll find a friend to help book a high-end restaurant and have a candlelight lunch with you. Yu Marin's eyes were filled with happiness. She vigorously nodded and said, N. Su Yun looked for the location of the cake shop while calling Situ Xing. He went straight to the point and said, Situ, are there any high-end romantic restaurants in the Third Ring Road? You're the owner of a bar, so you must know these places like the back of your hand. You've really found the wrong person for this. This has nothing to do with opening a bar. Situ Xing was very surprised when she received Su Yun's call. I haven't brought girls around in Yanjing for a long time. If you ask me, I really don't know. Yanjing's development in the past few years is still very fast. Then forget it. Pretend I didn't ask. Su Yun said while pondering who to ask next. Situ Xing reminded him, Do you still need to ask me about this? You should ask your little brother, Fu Tian, and the others. There's no place in Yanjing that they can't play in. That's right. Why didn't Su Yun think of this? Okay, then I'll call Fu Tian now and ask. After Su Yun hung up the phone, Yu Marin reminded him, Actually, we don't need a high-end restaurant. Any place is fine. As long as you're with me, I don't care about anything. We'll go buy a cake, and then I'll choose the place? How can that be? I've never properly spent a birthday with you. I didn't have the chance before, but now that I have the chance, of course I can't just make do. Su Yun had already dialed Fu Tian's number while speaking. When Fu Tian received Su Yun's call, his excitement soared 100 times. When he heard that Su Yun had something for him to arrange, he patted his chest and agreed without hesitation. He said that he would get it done in 2 minutes and sent the address to his phone. Although this kid didn't make Su Yun feel at ease, and didn't make Su Yun feel that he was reliable, this matter was probably too simple for Fu Tian. Therefore, Su Yun really dared to let him do it. After 2 minutes, Fu Tian sent the name and location of the restaurant to Su Yun's phone. It was a very famous Western restaurant in San Juan. The environment was romantic, and the price was definitely shockingly high. But it was such a place. The last sentence of Fu Tian's message clearly stated, The second floor has been booked. Everything will be handed over to the little brother. He was really too willful when he was rich. Su Yun replied with a thank you, then threw his phone aside and began to look for the cake shop. Hard work paid off. After half an hour, Su Yun finally found the cake shop. According to Yu Marin's taste, they ordered an ice cream cake. Just this cake was close to 1,000 yuan. But they didn't just sell things, they sold services. This cake, no matter how much you requested, and in what form you wanted it to be sent to, they would take care of it for you. What kind of society was the current society? It was a society that paid attention to services. Many times, why would someone make money and someone lose money in the same business? Those who lost money often thought that their fate was bad and that their luck was bad, but they didn't see that it wasn't that their luck was bad, but that their service wasn't good. On a large level, service represented the value of your goods and reflected the value of your goods. Su Yun straightforwardly handed over the money, then took Yu Marin straight to the famous Western restaurant. For so many years, he had received too much care from Yu Marin. Today, he really should seize this opportunity to thank her properly. The cake shop wasn't far from the Western restaurant. Su Yun found it in 10 minutes. When Yu Marin saw such a big scene, she was a little surprised. This was too extravagant, too wasteful. Chapter 1865. After Fu Tian saw Su Yun, his face was full of excitement. If it wasn't for Yu Marin standing beside him, he couldn't wait to go up and hug Su Yun. Brother Yun, how long have you not been to Yanjing? I missed you so much. How is it? Today's place is not bad, right? Sister-in-law didn't dislike it, right? As he spoke, Fu Tian carefully glanced at Yu Meiren and smiled at Su Yun. He really admired Su Yun in his heart. Look at Brother Yun's level. Fu Tian was also a big playboy who could call the wind and summon the rain in Yanjing City. He had a lot of beautiful women around him, but none of them could be compared to Brother Yun. You should pay attention to your mouth. Don't call everyone sister-in-law. Su Yun glared at Fu Tian and said, You made such a big scene. Aren't you afraid of spraining your waist? You're scaring me to death. I'm not as rich as you. Brother, if you still need to pay for your own money in Yanjing City, it's equivalent to slapping your younger brother's face. Fu Tian pouted and said, Don't let your younger brother be ashamed. The place I chose, to be honest, is not worthy of sister-in-law's amazing appearance and temperament. Yu Meiren knew that this young man was definitely a rich second generation. Although she had always had a bad impression of these rich second-generation parasites, she didn't hate Fu Tian. Perhaps it was the reason why he called her sister-in-law in his first sentence. Moreover, his mouth was like smeared with honey. He really knew how to chat. For a kid like him, the most professional thing in his life is to fool little girls. He can praise them to the sky with just a few words. Su Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said to Yu Meiren, Do you feel that you are already floating? Yu Meiren smiled shyly. It's good to be able to chat. Being able to make girls happy is also a kind of ability. I've finally met a confidant today. No one knows me better than sister-in-law. When Fu Tian saw that Yu Meiren was happy, he felt even more proud. If his sister-in-law was happy, it meant that he had done a good job. If things were done well, it meant that Brother Yun would be happy. If that's the case, I really need to learn more from you when I have time, Su Yun joked to Fu Tian. Fu Tian waved his hand. Brother Yun, don't laugh at me. He wanted to say, You're surrounded by beauties all day long, so why would you need to learn any flowery words? If that's the case, all the beauties in the world will be gathered around you. Because Yu Meiren was next to him, Fu Tian swallowed the words in his stomach. Brother, you guys enjoy it. When you're done, just leave. I still have some other things to do. I'll leave first. Then you go ahead. Thank you so much for today's matter. Su Yun said. We're family. Don't be so polite. Brother, if you say thank you to me, then you're really treating me as an outsider. As Fu Tian spoke, he ran away. He got into his red Ferrari and disappeared in a flash. Yu Meiren's gaze shifted from the sports car in the distance to Su Yun. She stuck out her tongue and said, Your little brother is too rich. It's okay. Su Yun grinned. Then let's go up. Today, we're saving money. We can order whatever we want to eat later. Others are spending money. We shouldn't be so extravagant and wasteful, right? Yu Meiren really felt a little embarrassed. Su Yun smiled. They had booked the whole place. If they didn't eat something expensive, they wouldn't be able to live up to the high reservation fee. Besides, how much could a meal cost even if they had enough energy to eat? 35,000 renminbi? 80,000 renminbi? Even if they opened a 300,000 renminbi bottle of red wine, in Fu Tian's eyes, it was just a drizzle. It was no different from ordinary people buying a 3 renminbi bottle of cola. When the two of them entered the high-end Western restaurant, the waiters immediately led the two of them to the second floor. They obviously treated the guests of young Master Fu Tian as if they were the Empress Dowager. Mr. Su, young Master Fu has already prepared le tour for you. He also asked us to prepare our most special caviar, French foie gras, and Kobe steak. What else do you need? The waiter said respectfully. Su Yun waved his hand. Just order the best food in your restaurant. This is our first time here. We'll eat your signature dishes. Okay, please wait a moment. The waiter quickly retreated. A few minutes later, according to the standard Western restaurant procedure, the waiter quickly started to serve the dishes. Red wine, delicious food, and beautiful women. They had booked the entire second floor of one of the most high-end Western restaurants in Yanjing City. In the eyes of ordinary people, they were definitely winners in life. Yu Meiren grew up in the Dragon Brigade. Every day, She would eat in the cafeteria with a group of rough men. Although the brothers in the Special Forces were not allowed to make any sound when eating, and they were also not allowed to talk, that kind of silence was not on the same level as the silence here. This kind of silence made Yu Meiren very much enjoy. But she was also very clear that this kind of life was not her life. Her life was in the army. It was in the past, now, and in the future. She could only thank Su Yun for giving her this kind of unexpected life experience. Really, it was very comfortable. Just when the two of them were halfway through the meal, there was a discordant sound coming from downstairs. In this kind of situation, it was very rare for people to quarrel. Everyone was a person of status, and they were also people who cared about the atmosphere. So even if there was something unpleasant, it would be resolved in a peaceful way. Who is so powerful that they even booked the entire second floor. Even our young Master Song can't go up? Hee hee. Young Master Song, I think this is really interesting. A coquettish girl used a provocative tone to fan the flames. I'm really sorry, Mr. Song, because you didn't make a reservation in advance. We only agreed when the customer booked the entire place. If you had made a reservation in advance, this kind of situation and problem would definitely not have happened. The restaurant manager said awkwardly. Brother, when I came here to register for a membership, you told me that? The man downstairs seemed to be very difficult to deal with. You said that as long as I registered for a membership, not only would I get a 2% discount on the food and drinks, but you also guaranteed that every time I come here, I would have a seat by the window on the second floor. Yes, that's what I said. There will definitely be a 2% discount. Do I look like someone who cares about your F***king discount? The customer's voice suddenly raised. Do you think I'm a beggar? I didn't give you 200,000 to register for a membership for some bullsh**T discount. This daddy casually tipped you and gave you more than that. What I want is service. What I want is a seat every time I come here. Mr. Song, I'm really sorry. It's really a special situation. Don't tell me that I didn't make a reservation. I'm a customer, I'm God. What I want is service, not a seat that I can only eat here after I applied for it. The restaurant manager knew that the other party was someone he couldn't afford to offend, so he could only nod and bow perfunctorily. Yes. You're right. It's all our fault. How about this, Mr. Song? This time you can eat on the first floor first. Is that okay? First floor? Who is our young Master Song to eat on the first floor? The coquettish girl added fuel to the fire. The customers on the first floor all looked over unhappily, but in the face of this arrogant playboy, they could only be angry but didn't dare to say anything. Who booked the second floor? The rich and overbearing young Master Song suddenly said. He pointed at the restaurant manager and said, Go up and tell him to leave. I'll pay for the booking fee. Young Master Song, this. Then tell me who it is. I really want to know which young master is so ostentatious to book the entire restaurant. The restaurant manager couldn't argue and could only say, It's young Master Fu, Mr. Fu Tian. Once he heard this, young Master Song couldn't take it anymore. He wasn't just anyone, he was Fu Tian's archenemy, Song Dong. Because of the car racing incident, he suffered a great loss. His brother was also injured and he was scolded by his father. He was not allowed to touch a car for a whole month. Good. Fu Tian, you and I are really F***king enemies. Oh, we're all friends. Then I'll go up and say hello. Song Dong ignored the restaurant manager's obstruction and insisted on going up to the second floor. Mr. Song, please don't make things difficult for me. The people eating upstairs are not Mr. Fu, but his two friends. Please don't make things difficult for me. The restaurant manager tried his best to stop them. Unfortunately, Song Dong and the girl didn't care about what he said. No matter what he said, they pushed the restaurant manager away and went up to the second floor. Yu Meiren frowned slightly. She knew that her lunch with Su Yun would definitely be interrupted. Su Yun didn't mind and smiled. Don't worry about them. Let's eat. The restaurant staff will handle it. Chapter 1866. Song Dong rushed all the way up. His purpose was very simple. He wanted to provoke Fu Tian. He didn't believe the waiter's words that the person eating upstairs was Fu Tian's friend. However, when Song Dong really rushed upstairs, he was shocked. No wonder Fu Tian was so generous to reserve the restaurant. It turned out that his friend was this great god. Song Dong remembered Su Yun's face very clearly. He really made the Song brothers suffer a lot. Humph. Enemies really meet on a narrow road. Even eating a meal was swept away by this god of pestilence. Song Dong's mood directly plummeted and fell to the bottom. Young Master Song, this is not young Master Fu. When did such a person appear in Yanjing City? The girl with a coquettish voice looked like a peripheral. She was wearing revealing clothes and had a coquettish temperament. Song Dong didn't know what to say for a while. Facing Su Yun, he knew that he couldn't afford to offend him. But in front of a woman, he couldn't lose face. It was difficult for him to make a choice. Yu Meiren was still very nervous. Looking at the man and woman, she was at a loss. But Su Yun didn't care at all. He continued to eat the food on his plate. He directly treated the man and the woman as heir. He also asked Yu Meiren to continue eating and ignore the outside disturbances. The restaurant manager was very embarrassed. He stood in front of Su Yun's table and kept bowing his head and apologizing. "I'm really sorry, sir, for disturbing your meal. Mr. Song and your friend, Mr. Fu, are friends." He thought that Mr. Fu was eating upstairs, so he came up to say hello. Although this explanation was very far-fetched, the restaurant manager really couldn't think of any other better explanation. In any case, disturbing the guests' meal was their dereliction of duty. If Fu Tian knew about this, he would definitely go crazy. It doesn't matter. You may encounter low-quality people wherever you eat. Su Yun didn't even turn his head and continued to taste the delicious food on his plate. The restaurant manager was embarrassed because Su Yun's words were obviously meant for Song Dong. Song Dong struggled in his heart for a long time. He really didn't want to provoke Su Yun. Provoking Su Yun was tantamount to finding trouble for himself. "Forget it, I'll just pretend that I didn't hear anything. Master Song, what do you think he means? He's obviously scolding you." Song Dong hoped that there would be less trouble, but the girl beside him couldn't accept this kind of insult at all. Now that the words had been pointed out, if Song Dong still didn't say anything, then he would really be a coward. If this matter was spread out, saying that he, Song Dong, didn't even dare to offend one of Fu Tian's friends, then how would he survive in the future? How would he be able to establish himself in the Yanjing City's silk pants circle? "Brother, we've met before and know each other. Don't you think you're being too rude?" Song Dong finally couldn't stand the girl's instigation and started a war with Su Yun. "If you don't give me face, then don't blame me for not paying attention to you. After all, we're acquaintances. Why bother?" Su Yun put down the knife and fork in his hand and turned his head to look at Song Dong. Of course, he knew him. In fact, he heard 70 to 80% of it from the voice just now. Now he looked up just to confirm it. "Acquaintances?" Su Yun said with a blank face. "You've got the wrong person. I don't know you." Song Dong was so embarrassed that he almost hid under the table. He, Song Dong, had lived in Yanjing City for so long. Only he didn't know others. There had never been others who didn't know him. This damn Su Yun actually dared to play with him like this. He didn't give him any face at all. He couldn't swallow this anger no matter what. "Master Song, let's go. Maybe he has a strong background and doesn't like a friend like you at all." The girl with the coquettish voice had already seen Yu Meiren. Such an elegant girl was obviously not someone ordinary people could get in touch with. The boy opposite could invite such a real goddess-level girl to dinner. Naturally, he couldn't be an ordinary person. Song Dong couldn't swallow this. He absolutely couldn't leave this restaurant with his face covered in dirt. He also wanted to show Su Yun his power and let him know that he, Song Dong, wasn't someone who could be casually bullied. "Surnamed Su, don't be too self-righteous." Song Dong sneered. Who do you think you are? Don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you have some skills. There's always someone better than you. If you provoke me, I'll find someone to kill you. Is this a threat? Su-yun smiled slightly. What era is this? It is a harmonious society. You are still so arrogant? Does your family know? Young man, don't cheat your father. Even if your father is more powerful, he can't stand your tricks. Be careful of your tricks. Sooner or later, you will get yourself into trouble. Although the Hadean Silver Spear Little Overlord's family isn't as rich as yours, his father's relationship is also good, right? If he finds trouble, he won't be able to handle it. Su-yun, don't bother with them. Let them go. Yumerin didn't want her good mood to be ruined. Did you hear that? We don't welcome you here. Su-yun, do you know what a reservation is? That is to say, this place is now our private space. You are now trespassing into our private space. If this is in terms of the law, I have the right to sue you. Song Dong was humiliated by Su-yun. He was really crazy. Okay, you are ruthless. Surnamed Su, you want to pretend with me, right? Then let me see what strength you have. Today, I am in your private space. I want to see how you accuse me and sue me. See if I will go to jail. Why are you so unreasonable? We didn't make it difficult for you. You just need to leave, and all the problems will be solved. Yu Meiren was so good-tempered, but she was irritated by Song Dong's rascality. Men are talking. Why are you, a woman, interrupting? Are you asking for a beating? The woman with the coquettish voice glared at Yu Meiren fiercely. She was obviously jealous. Jealous of Yu Meiren's beauty, jealous of Yu Meiren's temperament, and jealous of the men around Yu Meiren. Su-yun was really angry now. Song Dong and his woman could attack him at will. He didn't care, but they absolutely couldn't attack Yu Meiren. That would only completely irritate him. How much do you want to have a meal with me? Song Dong glanced at Yu Meiren. As long as you can name the price, I can afford it. Stand on my side immediately. A haze immediately appeared on Yu Meiren's face. She really didn't expect that there was such a shameless person in the world. Gotcha! Su-yun clenched his fists and pinched the knuckles of his fingers. The knuckles made a creepy sound. Song Dong, I'll give you one last chance. Get out of here immediately. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you. Song Dong's mouth twitched a few times, and he said fiercely, You don't know me, do you? Now you know I'm Song Dong? Don't talk nonsense with me. While speaking, Su-yun suddenly stood up, grabbed the table knife on the table, and flashed directly to Song Dong's side. The table knife in his hand was also on Song Dong's neck. Do you really want me to make you bleed? Song Dong was a little confused, but he thought carefully. It was a table knife, and this was a restaurant. He absolutely wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Su-yun, do you see the camera? If you dare to do anything, you will squat in there. If you dare to kill me, you will pay with your life. In fact, Su-yun just wanted to scare him. Of course, it was impossible for him to really disable him. Oh, young Master Song has learned to analyze? Your IQ has improved. You must have drunk a lot of walnut juice during this time, right? You have made progress. Remember to eat more pig's brain. You can make up for it with whatever you eat. While speaking, Su-yun pulled Song Dong to the table, slapped Song Dong's face on the table, and said in a low and gloomy voice, I can't kill you, but I can make you lose face. I will take a few embarrassing photos of you and spread them out. Maybe it will affect the stock price of your songs group. You dare. Song Dong glared. He was really afraid of this. No matter what he did, his father wouldn't care about him, but he absolutely couldn't do anything that would affect the stock price of the songs group. To put it bluntly, if he did something embarrassing, it would be fine as long as it wasn't exposed. He could do whatever he wanted in private. Song Dong pressed his hands on the table, desperately trying to lift his face, but no matter how hard he tried, there was no way to break free from Su-yun's control. Imagine, the eldest son of the Song's group and a woman lose face in a Western restaurant. Hee, at least the stock price will drop for several days. Su Yun spun the table knife in his hand. Suddenly, with a snap, the knife was inserted between Song Dong's index finger and middle finger. It directly penetrated the table. Seeing this, the restaurant manager felt distressed. Chapter 1867. Song Dong broke out in a cold sweat. If Su Yun's knife was slightly off, one of his fingers would definitely be crippled. Song Dong, who had lived in the world of playboys since childhood, had never encountered such danger. Even when he was kidnapped by villains, no one dared to kill him. They all talked to him nicely and asked him to ask for a ransom for his family. The only person who dared to do such a dangerous thing to Song Dong was Su Yun. Don't be so stubborn, Song Dong. Don't be so arrogant just because your father has some money. Su Yun said lightly, there are many things in this world that you can't solve. For example, right now, I just need to twist the handle of the knife and I can cut off one of your fingers. Do you believe me? Song Dong glared at him. You dare? You don't believe me? Then let's try. Today, I'll let you see whether I dare or not. Su Yun sneered. The slightly raised corners of his mouth were full of evil. With Su Yun's character, even if this sentence was just a joke or to scare people at the beginning, if the other party dared to be stubborn, he could play for real in minutes. I. Song Dong's forehead was covered with sweat. He wanted to be stubborn, but in the end, he chose to compromise. I believe you. I believe you, okay? If you believe me, then get out of here. Su Yun pulled Song Dong up and pushed him a few meters away with one hand. He said to the restaurant manager, you have to explain to Fu Tian what happened today. We are no longer in the mood to eat. If Song Dong wants to book the whole place, then let him. He just said that he will pay for the booking fee. Hearing Su Yun's words, Yu Maren quickly stood up. She had already finished eating. She stayed here to chat with Su Yun because she liked the environment here. It could bring her a relaxed mood. Now that the atmosphere had been destroyed, she really was not in the mood to continue staying here. Me? Song Dong was dumbfounded. Why? Su Yun had already finished eating, and he did not plan to come to this restaurant again. Why should he book the whole place? At this moment, a guest's voice came from downstairs. What a slap in the face. I heard it clearly downstairs. Who asked him to continue acting cool? Since his status is different and he can't dine on the first floor, he'll book the second floor. He didn't know which customer paid the bill, but he wanted to humiliate Song Dong before leaving. Song Dong didn't have time to get angry and chase after him. He could only swallow his anger. Damn it! Don't let him seize the opportunity. If he did, he would definitely torture Su Yun to death. Young Master Song, see you later. Su Yun said indifferently, all right, I reckon you don't want to see me either. Since that's the case, let's part ways forever. Yu Maren didn't let Su Yun continue to provoke this big playboy. She pulled him and quickly left the restaurant. As for the fee and the booking, she didn't know how to deal with it, but at least the restaurant wouldn't charge Fu Tian in full. Young Master Song, it's quite good. They left, and we booked the whole place. I quite like the environment here. The girl with a coquettish voice didn't notice Song Dong's anger at all. She was actually going to stay here to eat. Pa dash. Song Dong slapped the woman's face loudly. You like the environment here, don't you? Then take off your fucking clothes and dance for me. King like the environment here. I want to do you here. CK. Nameless evil fire was thrown by Song Dong on the girl. This girl was really not to be trifled with. It seemed that she had served these young masters a lot. She had experienced all kinds of ups and downs. When she flipped her hair, it was as if nothing had happened. Young Master Song, why do you take such a small thing to heart? I understand that you are angry, but don't vent your anger on me. I'm not your trash can, nor am I your pet. You know clearly what our relationship is. If you treat me like this, I won't serve you. After saying that, the girl turned around and left. If you dare to leave, don't let me see you again. If I see you again, I will kill you. Song Dong scolded fiercely. Bitches are heartless. Actors are unrighteous. They are all trash. Aren't you just interested in my money? 100,000? 200,000? I can afford it. I also tell you, don't think that you are so noble. I just like your asterisk asterisk and asterisk asterisk. Don't think that you are some kind of temperament goddess. You are just a toy for my crotch. No matter how Song Dong humiliated her, the girl didn't look back. She left the Western restaurant under the gaze of all the diners downstairs without changing her expression and heartbeat. In the outer circle business, you have to understand a simple truth. Face is worthless. Moreover, Yanjing City is so big, and everyone is so busy. No one will pay attention to you. Song Dong, this kind of rich and powerful playboy, really can't understand this truth. He is afraid that he will be recognized. He is afraid that people will poke at his spine and say that he is a piece of trash. He can't even handle a small outer circle business. He is afraid of too many things. Mr. Song. This place, are you still reserving? The restaurant manager carefully asked. Song Dong fiercely glared at him. Are you crazy? Who am I reserving this place for? To treat you to a meal? Go to the bathroom and wash your face clean. Take a good look and see if you're worthy of eating with me. The restaurant manager's patience is definitely not something an ordinary person can do. He still calmly said to Song Dong, Mr. Song, you have disturbed Mr. Fu's guest. If Mr. Fu questions, it will be difficult for me. So, today's fee, and the damage to this table. What the fuck do you mean? Song Dong heard this and became angry. This grandson wants me to pay. The restaurant manager tried his best to keep a low profile. Mr. Song, you really don't need this money. This money is nothing in your eyes. Even if it fell on the ground, you probably wouldn't pick it up. Whether I pick it up or not is my business. Song Dong was furious. But if you want me to pay for Fu Tian, there is no way. The food was eaten by his people, the wine was drunk by his people, and this table was King broken by him. What does it have to do with me? They left because they were willing to. I didn't chase them away. You can ask whoever you want for the money. But, if you didn't come up, none of this would have happened. The restaurant manager pointed out the key point of the matter. What you mean is too obvious. Are you saying that I caused this? So, I should be responsible, right? Song Dong's eyes revealed an unusual look of viciousness. Well, since you've said so, then let me take full responsibility. Song Dong, who was burning with anger, had lost his mind. He didn't care so much. He directly called his 3 brothers and a large number of friends who usually ate and drank with him. Because of the vexation in his heart, Song Dong directly called more than 20 people to smash the restaurant into pieces. He did all this to prove to these people that he wasn't afraid of trouble, he wasn't afraid of responsibility, and he didn't care about the compensation. He just didn't want to clean up the mess for Fu Tian and his friend Su Yun. He also didn't want to book the restaurant for that woman. It wasn't a matter of money. It was King not worth it at all. Brother, if you still don't calm down, I'll ask my brothers to find him all over Beijing for you. After we find him, we'll cripple him. Song Bei saw that Brother Dong was so angry. As his younger brother, of course, he was very unhappy. He comforted him while giving advice. Song Dong sneered. Cripple him? Do you think you're Superman? Every single one of us here is capable of crippling him. Say, who can cripple Su Yun for me, I'll immediately give him a 20 million check. Do you think I don't want to cripple him? I want to, but no one under us can do it. Brother Dong, that's not necessarily true. Song Bei smiled. We really can't say that we don't have people. We didn't have people before, but it doesn't mean that we don't have people now. I have a friend now who can definitely do it for you. Song Dong was excited when he heard that. Who? Someone who was a Special Forces commander in the French Foreign Legion. His name is Clay. I met him when I traveled to Europe last month. Song Bei said, "That skill is amazing. I was targeted by a few local hooligans. He happened to pass by and helped me out. He knocked down 5 people in 3 seconds. Song Dong's eyes widened in disbelief. I gave him my 1.4 million watch as a thank you gift. I left my phone number and told him to come to Beijing to play and to look for me at any time." Song Bei said mysteriously, "Do you know why I didn't go drinking with you last night? When Clay came, I took him to the club we often went to. I wanted to show him the real kung fu of the Chinese girls." Chapter 1868. Song Dong turned his head and looked at Song Shi and Song Nan on the other side. He asked with a puzzled look, "Is fourth brother bragging to me? I'm not in the mood to joke now." The other 2 brothers nodded one after another, indicating that they had heard Song Bei mention it in the morning. There was indeed a person named Clay, but they didn't know the level of this person's strength. "Come on, no matter how nice my words are, you definitely won't believe it. Seeing is believing. I'll let you see in a while," Song Bei said proudly. The 4 brothers were standing in front of the high-end Western restaurant that they had smashed, talking and laughing. They didn't take this matter seriously at all. After all, Yanjing was so big, and there were all kinds of people. Those who could afford such a restaurant in the Third Ring Road were definitely not simple people. Those who caused this kind of trouble and didn't care at all were probably only the big playboys of the Song family. The restaurant manager had already informed the boss and told him who caused the trouble. The boss didn't have much reaction. He just told him to ignore it and let them smash it. When the matter was over, he would personally find the head of the Song group to deal with it. There were always inextricable relationships between rich people, and some things were simply impossible to explain. The restaurant manager also knew that this matter was not something he could intervene in. He could only watch them vent their anger and leave. He didn't even need to call the police. This matter was over. "Have you heard that San Guzi set up a boxing arena in the western suburbs?" Song Bei said, "The competition requires a life-and-death contract. Those who dare to fight are daring to risk their lives. The people who dare to fight in Yanjing are all gathered there to earn money. San Guzi is the host. Open the bet." "You mean to bring Clay over there for us to see?" Song Dong said, "But if the foreigners know that this thing requires a life-and-death contract, will they play with you? You can rest assured that Clay knows Chinese and is very proficient. He understands what it means." Song Bei said, "He doesn't like women or power. He only likes money. As long as there is money, he will definitely do it." "What are you going to do? Let him win the money? How much money can San Guzi give? At most, it won't exceed 500,000, right?" Song Shi said disdainfully, "Would a person who is so awesome care about a few 100,000? Song Bei shook his head. "Of course he doesn't care. Besides, we don't have the time to make him wait for rounds of the competition. I'll pay for it. 1 million. Let him cause trouble. Let's follow and watch." "All right. As long as he can make trouble for me, I'll give him 5 million and let him chop off Su Yun's head for me." When Song Dong thought of Su Yun, he gnashed his teeth in hatred. He really hoped that he could find a reliable, ruthless person to do it for him. Song Bei patted his chest and said, "No problem." After Su Yun and Yu Meiren left the restaurant, Su Yun asked her if there was a place in particular that she wanted to go. Yu Meiren thought about it and said that she wanted to go to Happy Valley. She had never been to an amusement park before. Unfortunately, there was no Disneyland in Beijing. Otherwise, she would rather go to Disneyland. "When there's a chance, I'll definitely take you to Shenzhen Disneyland." Su Yun gave Yu Meiren a guarantee. "We can only go to Happy Valley now. We still have to go back to the army at night." Yu Meiren stuck out her tongue. "I'm just saying. Don't be so serious. I'm already an adult. There's no need to go to the amusement park. Who said that only children can go to the amusement park? Why can't adults go there? Adults can go there too, alright? Soo-yoon said, let's go. Let's have fun today. Let's go crazy and have fun. If Happy Valley isn't enough, we'll go to Shijingshan. Okay. Yu Marin's childish heart was completely stimulated by Soo-yoon. They didn't know that at this time, the 4 brothers of the Song family were already preparing to teach him a lesson. Who knew how many underlings they had arranged to eat and drink for free to find them? The 4 of them weren't idle either. Under Song Bei's lead, the 4 brothers came to the Beijing International Hotel where Clay stayed yesterday. Because they played until 4 o'clock in the morning last night, Clay had flirted with 6 high-class women at the same time. So, he hadn't been able to get up until now. The arrival of Song Bei and the others made Clay a little impatient. He was still quite sleepy, and he was still flirting with high-class women in his dream. Clay, these are my brothers. They listened to your story and admired you very much. Song Bei said, hee, so I had to bring them to meet you. Clay didn't have much intention to get to know them. He just nodded. That's all? Of course not. Song Bei knew that Clay liked to get straight to the point. It was easier for him to talk with them if he directly brought up the matter of money. We want you to go to a boxing stadium and teach those guys who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth a lesson. 1 million, just to make a scene. How about it? Clay was slightly stunned. What kind of boxing stadium is it? 1 million. It's a group of amateurs and unemployed youths. They go to a place where they can fight casually. Song Bei said, I believe you can take care of them in less than half a minute. Clay snorted softly. I treat you as a friend. 1 million, I'll give you face. Song Dong really didn't have much of a good impression of Clay. He felt that there was nothing great about this person except for being able to act pretentious. Moreover, he was so greedy that he became spirited after hearing 1 million. He probably couldn't do it, right? If this grandson went to the Sanguzi boxing stadium and lost face, he would definitely gather his brothers to beat him to death. Even if he lost Song Bei's face, he would teach this pretentious peddler a lesson. What he hated the most these days were foreigners who came to Huaxia to act pretentious. Are you sure you can do it? Don't be unable to hold it when the time comes. Song Dong's doubtful voice sounded. Clay didn't even look at him. He just said to Song Bei, tell your brother to shut his mouth. Be careful that if he punches him, he won't be able to lift a bone for the rest of his life. Ha ha ha. I'm joking. I'm just joking. Song Bei said, Brother Dong is my big brother. Clay, don't joke around. Clay just smiled slightly and didn't say anything more. He got up and said, I'm going to wash my face. Let's go now. I think some people who want to see me make a fool of myself can't wait, right? How can that be? We're all going to see how you educate those trash. How can it be possible to see you make a fool of yourself? Song Bei definitely rarely said such nice words to people. Song Dong wasn't in the mood. He got up and said, I'll go downstairs first. Tell your foreign brother that if he can deal with the people in the boxing stadium, he can earn another 5 million. If he can't, then there's nothing. Song Dong's voice was quite loud, and Clay heard it all. He immediately understood that going to the boxing gym was just a warm-up for him to test his firepower. Good, then let him see how much he was worth. When the time came, he wouldn't even be willing to pay 5 million. Don't talk to him if it's less than 8 digits. After Clay washed up, the group of people drove several sports cars directly to Sanguzi's boxing stadium in the western suburbs. This was the most popular time for boxing gambling. After all, they were in the suburbs. There wasn't any good equipment at night, so they took advantage of the afternoon to do it. Anyway, this desolate place hadn't been developed yet. There would be no police. When the 4 Song brothers brought Clay to the boxing stadium, there were already 2 people fighting. The 2 of them fought fiercely. One of them had blood on his face, and the other's eyes were so swollen that he couldn't open them. Without gloves, it was still very dangerous to fight with a black fist. one of them suddenly swept his leg over. The other person wasn't prepared enough and was directly knocked to the ground. The person who succeeded in the sneak attack didn't give his opponent a chance to breathe. He rode up and beat his opponent until he couldn't move. Only then did the fight end. After the fight ended, several sports cars that suddenly appeared quickly attracted everyone's attention. After the Song brothers got out of the car, Sanguzi was happy. "Oh, I was wondering who it was." It turned out to be young Master Song and the others. Ha ha ha, so, young masters of your status are also interested in watching me, a low-class thing? Before Song Bei could explain the situation, Clay had already stepped into the boxing stadium. Before the winner who hadn't stepped down from the stage could react, he punched him and sent him flying. Then he kicked the one lying on the ground out of the boxing stadium. "Everyone, come at me together." Clay arrogantly pointed at all the people who were fighting below the stage. Sanguzi was suddenly enlightened. "Yo, these brothers are here to cause trouble." Chapter 1869. How could the Huaxia men feel when a foreigner came to ruin the party? If anyone backed down at this time, he would never be able to take off the hat of a coward for the rest of his life. Seeing that the group of men were eager to rush up, the scene was about to get out of control. "Brothers, we have our own rules. I know what you're thinking, but don't break my rules." Sanguzi controlled the situation in his way. To be honest, the situation was really chaotic. If Sanguzi hadn't controlled it in time, it would have been out of control. After calming down the mood of the brothers, Sanguzi looked at the Song brothers with a smile. "I, Sanguzi, don't have the guts to offend young Master Song. What do you mean by this? You brought people to ruin my party? Haha. But I'm afraid it's not enough to bring only one person." Song Bei grinned. "Sanguzi, don't mind. We don't mean anything else. We just want to test the firepower here. How much money do you lose later? I'll make it up to you. How about it?" "Oh, Brother Bei, you're too polite," Sanguzi said. "As long as I know that you young masters are not here to make trouble for me, I'll feel more at ease. It's like I've taken a tranquilizer in an instant." "But I don't know why you want to test the firepower?" Sanguzi's words were a disguised question. How much firepower did they need to test the foreigner? If they beat him to a pulp, who would be responsible? Would he bear the responsibility? These were all questions that Sanguzi needed to make clear. Song Dong still didn't quite believe in Clay's strength. He looked at Song Bei and then at Sanguzi. He said lightly, "Just let them go. No matter what happens, I'll bear the responsibility for you. Even if they beat someone to death, it won't be your fault." "Young Master Song, I'm relieved to hear your words." Sanguzi smiled sinisterly. He didn't like this foreigner acting tough in the territory of Huaxia. Just now, that guy had said that he would fight whoever he could. Fine, he would fulfill his wish. Anyway, even if he was beaten to death, it wouldn't belong to him. It would belong to Song Dong. After he was relieved, Sanguzi turned around and shouted to everyone, "Since the foreigners want to exchange pointers with us, let's go. Come at me together. No matter who put him down, I'll treat you to dinner tonight. You can eat, drink, massage, and take care of all the way until dawn. Let's go, brothers. What are you waiting for?" This was Sanguzi's territory. Since he had said so, who would care? Let's fight. Who asked this foreign devil to be so arrogant? He said to attack together, so they attacked together and trampled him to death. He didn't have any other advantages, but there were so many of them. One spit of saliva from each of them could drown him. How dare this guy talk big? Seeing dozens of people swarming up, Song Dong sneered disdainfully. He wanted to see how tough this guy's mouth could be. After he was beaten up, he would learn what it meant to be low-key. "Brother Dong, are you serious? Do you really want to kill him?" Song Bei was a little scared. He wasn't sure whether Clay could face so many people. It was said that no matter how powerful a person was, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Clay was facing dozens of people alone. The possibility of him winning was really small. That's right, Brother Dong. No matter how powerful that Su Yun is, he's definitely not a match for so many people. Isn't it too much to use so many people to test Clay? Song Nan also raised this concern. However, how are we going to deal with Su Yun? What if he's a piece of trash and gets beaten up by Su Yun? Where are we going to put our faces? Throw him away? Stuff him into his pants? Song Dong didn't want to lose face in front of Su Yun. I'm telling you, no one should stop him today. As long as he can kill these people, I will treat him whatever he wants me to do. I can even worship him like a Buddha. But if he doesn't have any ability, then he will die here. I will dig a hole for him. The brothers all knew Song Dong's temper, so they all stopped talking and quietly watched Clay being beaten up by a group of strong men. However, what surprised everyone was that this Clay wasn't just for show. His strength had far exceeded Song Bei's estimation of him. Song Bei had thought that Clay would be able to deal with 4 or 5 people without a problem. But even with these dozens of people attacking together, Clay still defeated them one by one. This guy was really ruthless. He had hit the vital joints of people. Not to mention ordinary people, even experts would have to be careful. Especially joints like the knee. Once a comminuted fracture was hit, it would be difficult to stand up for the rest of your life. Seeing the boxing champions being kicked out by Clay one after another, the excitement on Song Bei's face became more and more obvious. He felt that this kind of pleasure was more intense than the pleasure brought to him by women. The perseverance on Song Dong's face began to turn into surprise. He began to become more and more shocked. This Clay was really a rare fierce man. One person. He defeated San Guzi and the entire boxing field with one hand. There was no one else as powerful as him. When Clay sent the last person flying 10 meters away, San Guzi sat on the ground, paralyzed. Are they here to test their firepower? What's the difference between this and destroying the field? This really destroyed his stage completely. Clay, you are really too powerful. I admire you. I admire you. Song Dong didn't need Song Bei to say anything. His attitude instantly became attentive. He handed a bottle of mineral water and asked, "Do you smoke? I have good cigarettes in my car. What flavor do you like? I will get it for you." Clay took the water and waved his hand. "I won't take your job for 5 million yuan. At least a large number. 10 million yuan it is. As long as you cripple that bastard for me. I will not only give you 10 million yuan, but I will also find 20 girls to accompany you for 3 days and 3 nights. Song Dong learned from Song Bei that this guy liked women, so he immediately catered to him. Clay smiled slightly, and his attitude towards Song Dong was no longer so cold. "This is what you said, friend. I accept this condition. We will be friends in the future." "Of course we are friends. It is a pleasure to have friends from afar." Song Dong said repeatedly, "This is fun. Let's have some fun tonight." Clay gained Song Dong's trust, and his whole face looked a lot better. "Since there is nothing else here, let's go. I don't want to be with a group of losers for too long. It will lower a person's temperament. Let's go. Let's go right away." Song Dong couldn't wait. Losers? San Guzi didn't feel good about it. Just a stinky foreigner was enough to make all of them lose their jobs. If this news spread out, how could he survive in society? "Master Song, can you at least give me an explanation?" San Guzi said. "You can't let your foreigner leave after beating someone up, right?" Song Dong didn't even turn around to look at San Guzi. He didn't have the time to do that. It was Song Bei who felt bad and pulled San Guzi back. "Are you stupid? Is it useful for you to shout about these things? So many people couldn't kill him. Can you handle it by yourself?" "Brother Bei, this is not the case. You just beat someone up for no reason and then leave?" San Guzi said. "Then you want to keep him. Do you have the ability to do that?" Song Bei provoked him. "If you don't have the ability, don't talk nonsense. If you talk too much, people won't be able to stand it. Do you understand? Hurry up and do what you are supposed to do. Someone is injured. You arrange to go to the hospital and come back to me. I will reimburse you how much it costs. Brother Bay, you can't just leave like that? Sanguzi was anxious like an ant on a hot pan. Song Bay didn't pay attention to him anymore. He hurriedly followed the footsteps in front of him and directly got into his Ferrari. At this time, Clay was no longer in the same car with him. He had been invited by Song Dong to his car. Otherwise, in this society, don't blame yourself for not being respected by others. If you weren't respected by others, it meant that you didn't have that kind of weight. As long as a person's level and weight reached that level, there would naturally be people who would respect you. There was no need to doubt this. Clay could get Song Dong's respect because he showed the strength that could persuade Song Dong. Fist and strength were the most basic things that made him respected. Chapter 1870. Ever since they got out of the car at Happy Valley, Su Yun had a feeling that someone was following him and Yu Marin. He didn't care because he could sense who was following them. He also knew that these people couldn't pose any threat to him, so he didn't need to care. After all, Yu Marin was from the Dragon Brigade. She wasn't a flower vase. She knew what Su Yun could sense, but she also knew that the time she could spend with Su Yun without any worries was precious. She didn't want trouble and harassment to affect her and Su Yun's mood. Sometimes, deliberately ignoring some things was actually a kind of optimistic attitude. It was because the two of them weren't affected by external factors that they could maintain a happy mood. Su Yun didn't know when it started, but his right hand was tightly holding Yu Marin's left hand. The two of them stayed in Happy Valley for a total of 4 hours. They didn't stop running or walking. When the sky started to turn dark, they realized that the day had passed in a hurry. I really hope that every day can be 36 hours. No. 48 hours would be even better. Yu Marin really didn't want to leave, but she was also satisfied. No matter what, she had to thank her leader for giving her this holiday. It allowed her to spend so much time with Su Yun. You must be tired. Let's go buy something to drink and rest for a while. Su Yun, we still have to get rid of the little tail later. Otherwise, if it follows us to the place where we eat, wouldn't it be too annoying? Yu Marin nodded. The two of them went to the parking lot to rest for a while. While the stalker was distracted, Yu Marin drove the car out of the parking lot, leaving only Su Yun to attract the attention of the stalker. After Yu Marin drove the car away, Su Yun turned around and disappeared. By the time the stalker realized that Su Yun had disappeared, the car he used to look for Su Yun had also disappeared. The flustered young man quickly dialed a number on his phone. Brother Dong, I lost the person I was following. I can't find him. Where's the car? We can't lose track of the car. Song Dong flew into a rage when he heard that his useless subordinate couldn't even handle such a small matter. What did you eat growing up? Can't you use your brain? Search. Find him immediately. Yes, I got it, Brother Dong. After the young man hung up the phone, he cursed unhappily. Then, he started the car unhappily and drove out of the parking lot aimlessly. As for where he was going to find the person, he had no clue at all. Forget it, he couldn't be bothered to worry about this. Anyway, there would definitely be people who would target him. If he broke off the connection, then so be it. At most, he would be scolded by Song Dong. He wouldn't lose a piece of meat, so it didn't matter. Su Yun took Yu Marin directly to the beer kebab shop he mentioned. At this time, the sky wasn't completely dark, so it wasn't the peak time for the beer kebab shop. When the sun completely set, the effect would be different. There would definitely be a sea of people and red flags fluttering. At this time, there were still many empty seats. Su Yun and Yu Marin tested the wind direction and then sat down in a corner. The boss, who had just set up the oven, directly came forward with a bag of Yenjing beer. Brother, drink first. The fire will be ready soon. After that, he put the menu on the table and turned to the waiter. Get some peanuts and edamame for the guests to eat first. Okay. The waiter shouted. In the north, as long as it was a place to eat beer kebab, there would be a plate of peanuts and edamame in the middle of the beer kebab table. When eating beer kebab, you could choose not to eat kidney, plank tendon, or horse bola fish, but peanuts and edamame were absolutely indispensable. Perhaps this was also a kind of cultural embodiment of the northerners eating kebab. 2 caddies of lamb chops, 4 chicken wings, 10 horse bola fish skewers, and 2 kidneys. Plank tendon, crispy bone, heart tube, squid, grill a few of each. Just enough for us to eat. Su Yun had already started to order. Fresh clams, fried spicy. Add a cucumber, fried yellow croaker, and a spicy crayfish. Can the 2 of us finish all of this? When Yu Marin heard that Su Yun had ordered so many things, she was shocked. We can't finish so much. The boss laughed. Beauty, it's obvious that this is your first time here. Our food here is genuine and the taste is superb. I guarantee that you will want to eat more after you eat it. Don't worry, I will control the amount. Those who asked me to grill a few of each dish, I will definitely prepare enough for you to eat. If it's not enough later, you can order more. Are you relieved now? I'm afraid that it will be a waste if we can't finish it. Yu Marin said, after all, there are only 2 of us. If you can't finish it, I will return it to you. Ha ha ha, warm it up and I will treat it as a midnight snack. The boss joked humorously. Logically speaking, I shouldn't accept any money from your table today. With such a beautiful woman here to support me, I estimate that my table will be popular in a few minutes. Su Yun was also amused. Boss, you have good eyesight. Today's table will really be popular for you. You can give me a discount. Brother, let's make a bet. If the table is full within half an hour, I will waive your bill. If it's full within half an hour, I will not charge you for the drinks and dishes. I will only charge you for the skewers. How about it? The boss said, meat is expensive now. My genuine mutton skewers are worth 3 yuan. It's really not expensive at all. Deal. Remember what you said. Su Yun was absolutely confident in Yu Marin. Sure enough, the effect of having a beautiful woman was great. Originally, it would take at least an hour for the place to warm up, but in just over 20 minutes, the place was full of guests. Moreover, every guest was in high spirits. When they were ordering, they shouted loudly. This table had 10 kidneys, and that table had 8 penises. The waiter looked at the boss with a smile and said, today's table will definitely be free of charge. Yes, it must be free of charge. Not only will it be free of charge, but I will also add more dishes. The boss laughed and said, do you know how much profit these 2 guests brought to us today? The people who came to eat today are obviously generous. They don't even care about 3 to 5 caddies of meat skewers. They were very stingy in the past. Go, roast a few more big kidneys for the brothers at that table. Roast them until they are fresher and tender, understand? Of course. The waiter was also working hard. Today's commission was very high. It was all thanks to this handsome guy and this beautiful girl. He would definitely roast this handsome guy's kidney until it was tender. After eating it, he would be able to have a good time at night. After receiving the boss's additional skewers, Su Yun really couldn't help but laugh. The prices were so high now. A skewer of kidneys cost 15 yuan. The boss was really generous. He added several skewers at once. Our boss said, brother, just tell us what you want to eat. It's enough. The waiter put down the kidneys and said generously, I can't eat any more. You go do your work. Don't worry about us. Su Yun smiled and said, tell your boss that I thank him. Don't be. We should be the ones saying thank you. If it weren't for you sitting here with such good looks, how could you attract so many people? The waiter's mouth was very sweet. It's simply a golden couple. Enjoy. I found that I don't have to pay to eat with you. Yu Marin covered her mouth and laughed. Someone booked the whole place for you at noon, and the boss gave you a free meal at night. Did you run into a lucky cat today? How can you be so lucky? Su Yun said proudly, this is not luck. It's character. The more I talk about you, the more powerful you are. Yu Maren smiled and said, well, let's say your character is off the charts. The two drank one glass and had already drunk several bottles of beer. Yu Maren put everything down today just to relax. Although she also knew that, in fact, with her identity, even if she had nothing to do, she couldn't drink. But she still couldn't hold back. Just because the other party was Su Yun, she wanted to have a drink with Su Yun. But what the two of them never expected was that the little tail that they had shaken off had followed them again. Moreover, the little tail had discovered the kebab shop that they had come to and immediately informed Song Dong. As soon as Song Dong learned the news, he rushed here with people without stopping. He must not let Su Yun slip away again. Chapter 1871. It seems that we won't be able to afford today's meal. Su Yun poured the beer into the glass and said to Yu Maren, the boss gave us a free meal and added so many roasted lamb loins. We can't let them overturn the seats here. Otherwise, let's go first. I saw a lot of people coming to us over there. Yu Maren was really nervous. Let's go. Their people are really coming. Don't worry. Eat this skewer and see what they are doing first. Su Yun had seen this kind of thing too many times, so he was too calm. It was impossible for him to take this kind of thing seriously. Come with me again? Yu Maren was not in the mood to drink anymore. Su Yun, they are all children of families with background in Yanjing City. I think it's better to have less trouble. Let's not lower ourselves to their level. Let them think what they want. Let's go. Su Yun did not object to this at all. It was really better to have less trouble. But then again, Song Dong brought so many people today. It seemed that he did not intend to let him leave. If they really wanted to teach them a lesson, Su Yun really didn't mind teaching them a lesson. As long as he did not beat them to the point that even their parents could not recognize them, then this matter was not too big of a problem. Su Yun still had a very good grasp of this small matter in his heart. You can't leave. Just eat in peace. Su Yun smiled. In a while, I will let these little guys regret provoking a big demon like me. Yu Maren had no way to deal with Su Yun. She had to continue to sit here and eat with him. The people brought by Song Dong all looked at Yu Maren covetously, which made Yu Maren very uncomfortable. This was the trouble of a goddess. Everywhere she went, there would be pairs of eyes looking at her. Brother, are you in some kind of trouble? The owner of the beer skewer stall brought 2 skewers of grilled squid to Su Yun's table and said, I think these guys don't have good intentions. If they're looking for trouble with you, you'd better be careful. Do you need me to help you? If I give a call, the brothers nearby will come out to help. Su Yun smiled and thanked the boss for his kindness. Boss, you have good eyesight. You can see that it's my trouble. Don't worry, I won't let anyone cause trouble in front of your stall. It definitely won't affect your business. That's not what I meant. I'm not that narrow-minded. The boss was startled. Thank you for your kind intentions. But look at what kind of cars those people are driving. Any one of them costs millions. They are the second-generation heirs of the Song Group. Brother, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but you really can't afford to offend him. Su Yun said, if you let someone help you out today, you won't be able to stay here in the future. Not only you, but the brothers who help out will also not be able to stay here. Su Yun said this very seriously, and this was definitely the reason. To be honest, the world was like this. As long as the rich were willing to pay, they could use all kinds of methods to make you unable to stay here. It was very simple. It was just a matter of how much money they had. In this sick society, other than terminal illnesses, was there any problem that money couldn't solve? There was almost none. One had to know that money could even buy love. In the past, he always felt that love for money wasn't true love. In fact, he was wrong. In fact, many times, many people would really love someone for money. It was also true love. Money was one of the necessary conditions. Therefore, when facing rich people, it wasn't that you couldn't offend them, but that you really didn't dare to offend them. The owner of this beer skewer stall was definitely not a good person. His business was doing well, and no ruffians dared to cause trouble. What did this mean? This was ability. But compared with the ability of the song group, his ability was really dwarfed. Brother, I was really blind. I didn't see that you were a real dragon. The boss laughed. Then today's matter, I won't care about you. Eat and drink well. If you don't have enough, then give me more. Try my grilled squid. It's definitely fresh. Those squid soaked in formalin can't be compared with my taste. Soo-yoon took it and ate it without hesitation. When Yu Meiran heard formalin, she really couldn't eat it. The main function of formalin didn't seem to be to soak squid, but to soak corpses, right? Vomit. It was a little uncomfortable. Yu Meiran didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she looked at the squid that hadn't been soaked in formalin, but she couldn't eat it. Song Dong wasn't in a hurry. He let the people he brought stand not far away and didn't disturb the people eating. He was also afraid that someone would call the police. Song Dong wasn't afraid of what the police would do to him, but he was afraid that Soo-yoon would take advantage of the chaos to leave. Then, where would he go to catch him? So he waited quietly, waiting for Soo-yoon to come over after he finished eating. Anyway, Soo-yoon's car at the parking lot had been blocked by the people he had arranged. His front, back, left, and right were all blocked, so he absolutely couldn't drive out. Soo-yoon slowly ate the remaining skewers and drank the beer in the glass. At the same time, he reassured Yu Meiran and told her not to think too much. This kind of thing would be troublesome for a while, and it would be fine after a while. Now, there was no trouble coming to the door. If she was worried first, wouldn't it make the enemy happy? After a few words, Yu Meiran was amused by Soo-yoon. When Song Dong saw that Soo-yoon was still in the mood to chat and laugh, he was even more angry. I've been standing here for more than 10 minutes, and you're still eating and drinking, chatting and laughing? Fine. You're really brave. Don't look at how happy you are now. I'll make you cry in a while. Clay didn't come out. He had been sitting in Song Dong's sports car. Song Dong had promised to give him 10 million, so he listened to Song Dong's arrangement. Song Dong thought that Clay was a European after all, and it would be too eye-catching to bring him out. If Soo-yoon saw it, he would definitely guess Clay's identity. At that time, Soo-yoon would be prepared, and Clay might not have a chance to beat him down. Song Dong wanted to be 100% sure. He absolutely couldn't let Soo-yoon have any chance to breathe. Humph, and I'd like to see if he could throw money on the bed and take the initiative to serve me. Soo-yoon, you've repeatedly made things difficult for me. Today, I'll make you kneel down and kowtow to me. Let your woman lie on my bed and serve me. Let's see what kind of temper you have. There is no problem in this world that money can't solve. Song Dong glared at Soo-yoon fiercely. He imagined various endings over and over again in his heart. He imagined Soo-yoon's various painful expressions. All of this made him feel inexplicably happy. Yes, too happy. Soo-yoon sneezed twice, looked up in the direction of Song Dong, and muttered, this grandson actually scolded me secretly behind my back. See how I deal with him later. You can even know this? Yu Meiran stuck out her tongue. Are you clairvoyant or clairvoyant? Are you done eating? If you're done, let's go and meet them. Soo-yoon wiped his mouth. When he saw Yu Meiran nodding, he waved to the boss and said, This kidney is really well roasted. It's fresh and tender. Are you done eating? Then let's go. Be careful on the road. The boss waved his hand and simply reminded him. Soo-yoon didn't refuse. For such a straightforward person, he just threw a sentence and left. There was no need to waste time. Moreover, Song Dong and the others had already been waiting for half an hour. They probably didn't have much patience left. If this continued and they couldn't control themselves, they would rush up and flip the table. Then, Soo-yoon would bring trouble to them. Seeing Soo-yoon finished eating and got up, Song Dong's spirit suddenly rose. He waved his hand vigorously to let all the brothers raise their spirits. The master had spoken. Who dared to disobey? They immediately entered a state of readiness for battle. Su Yun walked step by step to the parking lot. Their hearts were in their throats little by little. Song Dong also hurriedly asked Song Bei to go to the car and tell Clay to be ready to fight at any time. It would be best to end the battle quickly and not give Su Yun a chance to fight back. This was the downtown area. Even if Song Dong had a strong background, he would try to be as quiet as possible. After all, it was better to do less things. Chapter 1872. When Su Yun and Beauty Yu walked to the parking lot, they found that their car had already been surrounded by Song Dong's people. There was no gap at all in front, behind, left, and right. They were almost on top of it. No matter how capable they were, it was impossible for them to move the car out. Seeing that there was no way to leave in time, Beauty Yu was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. Once they were surrounded by the other party's people, Su Yun would definitely hit them. That way, it would be very easy for things to get out of hand. What should we do? How can we leave now? Why don't we just stop driving and take a taxi? Yu Meiren was only thinking about how to avoid this conflict. However, Su Yun didn't think so much. No matter what trouble he encountered, he would solve it in the proper way. Since the first day Su Yun joined the Dragon Brigade, he had learned the most basic principle. There was nothing in the world that could stop him. I have to drive this car away. Su Yun's lips curled up slightly, revealing an evil smile. He wanted to see what tricks Song Dong could play. Be careful later. Don't get hurt by them. Yu Meiren glared at Su Yun. Although she was a medic of the Dragon God Special Operations Group, she still participated in the basic training. Generally speaking, 3 to 5 hooligans wouldn't be able to get close to her. Don't underestimate me. I don't care about these hooligans, Yu Meiren said. I want us to leave as soon as possible. I'm not afraid of them. I'm afraid you'll get into trouble. Su Yun stuck out his tongue. I know what to do. Don't worry. Besides, even if I really get into trouble, Captain Wan will definitely help me, don't you think so? Yu Meiren was completely speechless. This guy had a backup plan in his heart. He knew that the chief would support him. Sai, the rich second generation, was a scammer, and there was also a scammer who would scam the chief. Actually, when he thought about it, even if Su Yun caused a huge mess, as long as it was not a mistake on his own principles, he would definitely protect him. After all, Su Yun was the most talented seedling in the Dragon Brigade for many years. Yu Meiren and everyone in the army could see that Wan Leader had always wanted to cultivate a successor who could carry the banner of the Dragon Special Operations Group before he completely retired. That successor was Su Yun. If Su Yun had not caused such a big trouble because of Yin Long, Wan Leader would have already started to cultivate Su Yun's real leadership qualities in the past 2 years. Su Yun was too suitable. From the day he could train the troublemakers of the Dragon Special Forces, Wan Leader knew that Su Yun was his most suitable successor. It was a pity that Su Yun's impulse brought about too many changes. Yu Meiren clearly remembered Su Yun's terrible state after killing people. The people he killed were really in a high position. In order to save Su Yun's life, Wan Zhu almost fell out with all the leaders. He almost exhausted all his power and connections, exhausted all means, and finally managed to save Su Yun's life. At that time, Su Yun was expelled because he wanted to let him live. If Su Yun did not leave at that time, someone would have tried all kinds of ways to kill him. In the days when Su Yun left, Wan Leader spent a lot of effort to completely settle this matter. Therefore, Su Yun still had the identity of a member of the Special Forces now because Wan Leader was behind the scenes. The reason why Wan Leader wanted to save Su Yun at all costs was because Su Yun was the most suitable successor he saw. There were good team members every year, good leaders in every batch, and good instructors were easy to select. However, there was only one person who could truly lead the whole Dragon God Special Operations Group and carry it forward. In the many years since Wan Guangxiao established the Dragon God Special Operations Group, he only saw Su Yun as a good seedling. In these years, the only person who could take on a big responsibility in management was Wang Yi. Unfortunately, Wang Yi's strength had reached the peak because of his talent. He could not continue to break through. It was impossible for him to convince the public with his strength, because a master of the Grandmaster realm could not suppress so many excellent subordinates. The Dragon Brigade had its limits. There were many people who could break through the profound world realm, but they were congenitally deficient in leadership. Therefore, Wan Guangxiao was looking for a person who had both leadership and unlimited potential to break through. Wan Guangxiao searched for this person for a long time before he found Su Yun. He would not easily give up Su Yun, his successor. No matter what the current situation was, no matter what Su Yun's current status was, Wan Guangxiao would definitely hand the team over to Su Yun before he left. Only then would he feel relieved. Although Wan Guangxiao took all of this silently, the people in the Dragon Brigade knew very well that he did this for the future development of the Dragon God Special Operations Group. After all, the Dragon God Special Operations Group was the leader of the Special Operations Group in Huaxia. No matter what, they could not lose to the other Special Operations Group. He needed someone like Su Yun who could support him, someone who could lead the Dragon God Special Operations Group to the peak of Huaxia forever. They were the dragon's head, and they would always be the dragon's head. They could never be worse than the others. Yu Meiren looked at the side of Su Yun's face. This man might have only been a captain of the Dragon God's Fury Special Forces, an instructor. But now, it seemed that he was the future of the Dragon God Special Operations Group. Phew! Yu Meiren let out a long sigh. Now, this future was going to cause trouble for the chief. She hoped that the chief would be able to hold on. Song Dong had already surrounded Su Yun and Yu Meiren with his men in the middle. Because the car was parked in a relatively remote location, although it would be seen by others, no one would particularly care. After all, in today's society, it was already the norm for people to not care about things that had nothing to do with them. As long as it did not affect them, they could pretend that nothing had happened. Even if they saw it, they could pretend that nothing had happened. I didn't expect to meet you so soon. Song Dong walked to Su Yun with a smile. Although his words were directed at Su Yun, his eyes looked at Yu Meiren from time to time. This beauty was really beautiful, more beautiful than any woman he had ever carried to bed. Su Yun waved his hand impatiently. Hurry up and ask your men to get out of my way. I don't have any shortcomings. The only thing I have is that I'm impatient. Hee, is that so? You're impatient, aren't you? All right, I can make you patient. Song Dong said, patience needs to be cultivated. Let's start cultivating now. I believe that I can definitely make you realize very quickly that you are actually a very patient person. Yu Meiren glared at him and scolded, You'd better not make trouble without reason. The one who will regret it will definitely be you. TSK, TSK, TSK. Beauty, you are the first woman in my life to scold me. Song Dong said, Since we are so fated, I think I should treat you to a drink. How about it? Do you have time tonight? Come to my place. I have a private wine cellar. Shameless. Yu Meiren was angry and ashamed when she heard it. When Su Yun heard Song Dong harassing Yu Meiren, his patience was indeed gone. Song Dong, do you think you can do anything to me with a few mobs? You are too naive. I advise you to take your men home early, or you will spend a lot of medical expenses tomorrow. I'll see how long you can be rampant. Song Dong sneered. He had already seen Song Bei and Clay coming out of the car. Clay kept rubbing his fists. He couldn't wait to get his hands on the 10 million. Obviously, he knew very well that if he wanted to make this money, he had to knock down the man beside the beautiful girl. There was another point. Besides the 10 million yuan, Clay also wanted this woman. He knew that as long as he could knock down the man in front of him, he could get this woman. This was a very, very simple problem. As long as it was a problem that could be solved with fists, it was not a problem for Clay. Su Yun felt a breath. Oh, he really didn't expect that Song Dong would specially invite someone to deal with him. This was interesting. Su Yun wanted to see who was so ungrateful that he dared to accept Song Dong's business. After Yu Meiren felt that something was wrong, she quickly turned around. A typical European appeared not far behind them. Yu Meiren's heart was in her throat. It seemed that Su Yun would definitely not be too gentle today. She could only hope that one leader would help him clean up the mess. Chapter 1873. Su Yun, I'll show you today. What right do you have to be so arrogant? The complacent expression on Song Dong's face was completely hard to conceal. He was extremely confident in Clay's self-confidence. After all, an expert who could overturn so many people with just his 2 fists was the most likely person to beat Su Yun to the ground. Did you ask for outside help? Do you think you're playing in the Chinese Super League or the CBA? You're competing for outside help? Su Yun was helpless. Today's event isn't a sports competition, right? Oh, no, if this is considered a free fight, then it's also a sports competition. Unfortunately, outside help doesn't have a 100% advantage in this aspect, right? When Song Dong heard Su Yun's analysis, he wasn't happy. In his eyes, outside help was awesome. Who said outside help doesn't have an advantage? When Mayweather and Pacquiao fought, Mayweather still won. Pacquiao didn't give the Asians any face. Su Yun nodded and rubbed his chin. You're right. But that's professional boxing. It's a profession. Many of us who don't belong to this profession are not allowed to participate. Otherwise, I believe the competition would be more exciting. Su Yun watched that competition and was quite disappointed. It was too boring. Neither of them even had a bruise on their face. Some people thought that Running Plum's constant dodging was good footwork, but Su Yun felt that this guy was really unprofessional. They got so much prize money in one go. What else did they do other than create hype? He really should let those rich and famous people who fly to watch boxing matches watch the International Special Forces individual competition. That was really ruthless. Compared to that, this was really child's play. It wasn't even worth mentioning. That kind of competition didn't have so much performance. It was a competition of ability. Whoever had the ability would stand. Whoever didn't have the willpower to persevere, or who completely exhausted himself, would lie down. There was no turn-based system, no point comparison, and no time to talk about the competition. In that kind of fight, only one person could stand in the end. The situation of 2 people standing at the same time had never happened before. Su Yun felt that he should appeal to the professional boxing organization to set up new rules. When 2 people fought in a boxing match, one of them had to lie down. Otherwise, how could the winner be determined? Points were meaningless. Would it be considered a win if he managed to land 2 or 3 more punches? On what basis? That way, the referee would have a very large governing factor. Punches with valid points might not necessarily hurt people, and punches with invalid points might not necessarily not make people tremble. Therefore, something should be changed. That way, there wouldn't be a situation where 2 boxing champions' faces weren't even injured in a $300 million boxing match. Su Yun didn't believe that the 2 boxing champions weren't doing it for money. He had seen professional boxers, as well as underground boxers in Europe and America. Compared to those underground boxers, the boxing champions were not as desperate. Their fights were not much of a spectacle. Today's matter had nothing to do with the boxing match. Su Yun's opponent, Clay, was not a professional boxer. Looking at Clay's appearance, he was a typical white Englishman. If it weren't for the faint murderous aura exuding from him, Su Yun would have been deceived by this man's gentle and gentlemanly appearance. He didn't look like a rough man at all. He looked more like an elegant British royal. Clay, I'll leave this person to you today, Song Dong said proudly. I won't mistreat you after it's done. Oh, you want to hire someone to kill someone? Su Yun understood what Song Dong meant. He smiled and asked Clay, how much did he pay you to take my life? Clay did not answer Su Yun's question. Instead, he was already preparing to attack him. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. He had warned this fellow out of goodwill. If it was Su Yun, he would have a bounty of $100 million. After the incident in the Pacific Ocean and Su Yun's departure, his value there was directly comparable to the $80 million of the Magpie World's #1 instructor. If Clay knew about that incident and Song Dong offered him $10 million, how would he feel? He would regret it, wouldn't he? Of course, it wasn't that he would regret not asking for more money, but that he would regret provoking such a person with such a high value. This was not an opponent he could take down. Clay, who had been kept in the dark, still regarded Su Yun as an ordinary person. Finally, Clay made his move. He saw the $10 million waving at him. Clay, who wanted to kill his opponent with one blow, quickly realized that he was wrong. When his wrist was caught in Su Yun's hand, he was dumbfounded. What great strength! He couldn't break free from his opponent's control. No matter how hard he tried, his wrist couldn't move under Su Yun's control. After Su Yun grabbed his opponent's wrist, the first thing he saw was the tattoo on Clay's inner forearm. It was a black fox with fangs open. Su Yun's eyes widened. He knew the tattoo of the black fox too well. It was the tattoo of Europe's #1 violent killer organization, Black Fox Group. The Black Fox Group had not been established for many years, but it had developed at the fastest speed to become the most terrifying violent organization in Western Europe. Old mafia families were no match for them at all. Because they went against the Black Fox Group, many leaders of the mafia families were beheaded overnight. It was such an emerging violent killer organization. No one under its banner was an ordinary person. They were all professional killers. This also subverted people's ideas. Normally, professional killers liked to act independently. Once they formed a group, they became a mercenary group. Because of the independence of professional killers, they could hide their identity and live in the city. This was their advantage. A mercenary group was a large-scale group. If they were in the city, the government would definitely encircle and arrest them. Therefore, this was the biggest difference between a killer and a mercenary. It was precisely this Black Fox Group that made up for the killer's disadvantage of being independent. Because of the killer's independence, although they could live in the city, it was difficult for the government to detect them. However, they would always leave traces behind. Once they were detected by hunters, they were likely to be hunted down. This was the biggest reason for the killer's death. Hunters relied on this kind of bounty, so they would hunt down lone assassins without limit. Over the years, many killers had also realized this. If they were to act alone, it was impossible for them to fight against organized hunters. In the end, they would be the ones to die. The Black Fox Group appeared at this time. They made up for the needs of most of the killers, and also allowed the killers to live better in the city. As for who established this organization, it was still a mystery. However, the killers in their organization would have a tattoo of a black fox with fangs on their inner forearm. What did this mean? It meant that once the killers had an organization, they would not be so easily bullied. Although their organization had never surfaced at all, and no one had ever seen a gathering of killers, it really did solve the dangerous situation of killers being independent. Because of this, it even led to the overflow of killers in Western Europe a few years ago. Because of this, many countries had sent people to investigate this matter, but there was no news or response. As the recognized #1 killer in the world, CFAIs also participated in the investigation, but he still did not get any results. On the contrary, CFAIs had received many invitations from this organization, inviting him to become the leader of their organization and participate in the development of their Black Fox Group. Su Yun remembered very clearly that this matter was arranged for the members of the Dragon Battle Special Forces to participate in the investigation. After returning, they found nothing. There were so many countries in Europe, it was impossible for them to search inch by inch. The other party was very cunning and did not leave any clues for them. They had no idea where to start at all. The investigation team arranged by Hua Xia was the same as the investigation teams arranged by other international organizations, and they could not solve this problem. Su Yun was still brooding about this matter. At that time, he was dealing with another tricky matter, so he could not bring people to investigate Black Fox. Later, Black Fox fell into a period of silence, which was said to be caused by an internal power usurpation. During this period of time, Black Fox stopped. Although they occasionally appeared to do something later, most of the time, they were still hidden, and it was still difficult to be traced. Now standing in front of Su Yun, Clay was the first member of the Black Fox group that Su Yun saw. Haha. I didn't expect to have an unexpected harvest today. In that case, I really have to thank Song Dong. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.